Chapter 1. Who attends a wedding in a bathrobe? Today, the Liu family is bustling with excitement, as early in the morning, the Qin family arrives to escort the bride, filling the air with laughter and joy. However, in the innermost recess of the third floor, there lies a locked room. This chamber is the most secluded spot in the Liu household, requiring one to ascend 3 flights of stairs and navigate a winding path to reach it. Liu Mingyu has resided here for a decade. Her room is modest, accommodating only a bed and a desk, with a canvas propped in one corner. There is no space for an extra chair, forcing her to either sit on the bed or stand while painting. At this moment, she is engaged in her art, surrounded by an atmosphere of tranquility, with only the sound of brush against paper breaking the silence. Just a door away, 2 worlds coexist. As noon approaches, the Liu family begins the wedding procession. Amidst the blessings of family and friends, the bride, Liu Qian, is carried by the groom, Qin Lian, onto the wedding carriage, en route to the groom's family home. Liu Qian is Liu Mingyu's cousin, the daughter of her uncle and the esteemed young lady of the Liu family, marrying into the illustrious Qin family of Zizisheng. When the clamor finally subsides, the sound of a key turning in the lock pierces the quietude of the small room. Liu Mingyu hastily flips the paper before her, securing it once more, and shifts the pen to her other hand, hastily sketching a few strokes. The door creaks open. The butler, Wang Qi, speaks respectfully. "Miss Liu Air, please come out for your meal." Liu Mingyu sets down her brush and descends the stairs. This luncheon is a solitary affair. The members of the Liu family are either accompanying the wedding procession to the groom's home or busying themselves at the hotel preparing for the wedding banquet indeed. The household is in a flurry of activity, save for her and her grandmother. Liu Mingyu sits alone at the long dining table, her place at the far end. Even when dining solo, she must occupy this spot. Wang Qi stands beside the table, diligently serving and removing dishes with unwavering precision. His demeanor is devoid of emotion, performing the same tasks day in and day out, like a machine, without revealing any feelings or vulnerabilities. After completing her meal in silence, Liu Mingyu rises and heads toward the backyard, only to find the door locked. Wang Qi appears behind her, stating, "Miss Air, you cannot go to the backyard." Liu Mingyu replies, "But Wang, I merely wish to take a stroll and admire the ginkgo tree." Wang Qi smiles and reiterates, "Miss Air, you cannot go to the backyard." Understood, she concedes, retreating to her room to resume her painting. As evening falls, the hotel lobby is filled with a steady stream of guests. Duan Xiaoming encounters Zhang Xiang, who is dressed in formal attire. He halts, tilting his head, seeking a silent inquiry through his gaze. Zhang Xiang elucidates, "There's a wedding of a distant relative. Would you like to join the festivities, Minge?" Duan Xiaoming responds, "Sure." Zhang Xiang adds, "All right, then I'll accompany you to change into something else." Duan Xiaoming inquires, "Change into what?" Minge, are you truly attending a wedding in a bathrobe?" Zhang Xiang observes him, bemused. Duan Xiaoming retorts, "Is that a problem?" Zhang Xiang glances down at the hotel slippers adorning Duan Xiaoming's feet, his expression a mix of incredulity and amusement. "I suppose it's fine. Who would dare to dictate what Duan Xiaoming wears?" Yet the combination of a bathrobe and slippers is undeniably outrageous. His tall stature and commanding presence, coupled with his strikingly fierce appearance, attract considerable attention. It felt as though someone were about to disrupt the gathering. In the end, Zhang Xiang hesitated to lead anyone to the banquet. He faltered at the entrance. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he suggested, "Minge, why not head to the private room on the 2nd floor? You can still catch a glimpse of the wedding ceremony from there. There's food and drink as well. Plus, the terrace leads outdoors, where you can smoke, haha." Duan Xiaoming regarded him with an inscrutable expression, leaving one uncertain whether he was pleased or displeased. Zhang Xiang's countenance resembled that of someone about to weep. "Brother, we are in a foreign place. Your ostentation frightens me." Duan Xiaoming raised an eyebrow. "I shall go to the private room." "That's splendid, brother," Zhang Xiang exclaimed. Duan Xiaoming ascended to the 2nd floor, locating an unoccupied private room. He entered, uncorked a bottle of wine, and leaned against the railing, surveying the banquet hall below. He held little interest in the wedding, yet could not resist the allure of happiness surrounding him. At that moment, the wedding had commenced, with the MC brimming with enthusiasm, and the banquet hall illuminated with bright lights. Duan Xiaoming's gaze swept across the gathering, pausing at a particular spot. In the corner stood a young woman. It seemed there was no seat available for her. She was adorned in a shimmering white qipao, her long black hair elegantly styled. The garment appeared somewhat oversized, resembling the attire of banquet staff, yet she radiated beauty. It was not merely a conventional attractiveness, rather. It was an innate allure that rendered her a striking contrast against the surrounding guests, even overshadowing the entire celebration. A circle of onlookers surrounded her, with some even rising from their seats to catch a glimpse, their gazes fixed upon her, outnumbering those directed at the newlyweds. Before long, a bridesmaid approached the young woman and whispered something, prompting her to follow. Duan Xiaoming lost interest and glanced around once more, finding nothing of excitement. He then took his wine to the terrace. How dull this wedding was. This private room boasted a corner terrace, one side open and connected to the room, the railing overlooking the grand hall, while the other side led directly outdoors. Duan Xiaoming stepped onto the outdoor terrace, seated himself to admire the scenery, and drew half a curtain to shield himself from the banquet's bright lights. The hotel was nestled within a wetland, boasting unparalleled natural beauty. Visiting Shizi City for the first time, he found himself captivated by the lush greenery before him. The towering trees stood majestically, a testament to the passage of time, just as he was marveling at a colossal ancient tree in the distance creek. The door to the private room swung open, accompanied by a commanding voice. "I hear you can paint?" Create a depiction of the wedding scene. With that, the door clicked shut. Duan Xiaoming tilted his head to glance inside. The bridesmaid had departed, leaving behind the enchanting figure in the qipao. Unbeknownst to her, concealed behind the curtain's visual barrier, she remained unaware of his presence on the terrace as she set up her easel. With her right hand, she grasped a paintbrush and began to create. Her posture was remarkably straight, her frame slender, with her hair elegantly pinned up, revealing a neck that appeared so delicate it could shatter with a mere touch. Even her silhouette was breathtaking, truly captivating, yet it was rather tedious. Duan Xiaoming closed his eyes for a brief respite. Silence. Time slipped away, and eventually, resounding applause erupted. The wedding had reached its pivotal moment. The groom kissed the bride. Duan Xiaoming opened his eyes and cast a glance around the private room. This woman possessed commendable artistic ability. Though time constraints prevented her from refining her work, she had captured the essence of the wedding, her color palette romantically harmonious. Yet, there was nary a hint of soul within her creation. She merely painted when prompted, obediently fulfilling her task, having consumed not a morsel throughout the entire wedding, solely engrossed in her artwork. Boring, stiff, and submissive, such a breathtaking beauty is utterly wasted. It is truly disappointing. Duan Xiaoming once again closed his eyes, as if he had drifted into slumber. After a considerable time, applause echoed once more within the hall. This time, it marked the final segment of the Weddinga lottery with splendid prizes. Duan Xiaoming opened his eyes, preparing to depart, his spirits dampened. He drew back the curtains and stepped inside, just in time to witness the woman on his left toss her brush to the ground with a sharp thud. He nearly forgot. There remained an insipid woman engrossed in her painting. Lu Ming, hearing the commotion, turned to glance behind him. A man clad in a bathrobe appeared, so casual that he still wore hotel slippers. Clearly not from Zizisheng. The man was tall and imposing, his hair damp and swept back, his features fully on display, exuding a natural allure with his sharp brows and bright eyes that commanded respect. Through the open robe, one could discern his well-defined chest. The lines were fluid and robust, reminiscent of a poised cheetah ready to pounce. This physique was undeniably imposing. Chapter 2. The self-destructive artwork. The two figures stood merely 2 meters apart. Duan Xiaoming did not spare her a glance. Rather, his gaze remained steadfastly fixed upon the painting. It astonishingly recreated the scene of a wedding, where the groom tenderly kissed the bride, enveloped in a shower of pink petals. Yet, an additional stroke sullied the romantic pink and white panorama, as she had inscribed a skull in bold crimson. The skull appeared so vividly lifelike that it seemed on the verge of gnawing its way out of the canvas. It tore through the fabric of horror and bloodshed. The force of her brushstrokes was immensely potent, capturing one's attention with an image that was impossible to erase from memory. It sprawled. It engulfed. It obliterated. The paint, still wet, dripped with crimson stains cascading downward. It defaced the entirety of the wedding tableau. Duan Xiaoming beheld the painting with astonishment, his gaze drifting to the ground beside her, where she had just cast aside the crimson paintbrush. He redirected his attention to her. "Beautiful," he exclaimed, not in admiration of her physical form, but in heartfelt appreciation for the essence of her spirit. In the light, she exhibited restraint, yet in the shadows, she was unyielding. She regarded him with indifference, her composure unshaken by the revelation, her gaze steady as she assessed his features. "Single?" she inquired. Duan Xiaoming, raising an eyebrow involuntarily, replied, "Yes." Instantly, her eyes fell, lingering upon his chest. Then, he heard her say, "Shall we share a bed?" For a fleeting moment, Duan Xiaoming questioned his own auditory perception. As amidst the aura of destruction emanating from the blood-red skull, he discerned the dissonance of the woman before him. Clad in the most modest, even traditional, ill-fitting qipao, she stood gracefully in profile. Her lips formed a gentle curve, a smile adorning her countenance without the exhibition of her teeth, radiating an air of composure. Yet her eyes were remarkably piercing. Upon closer scrutiny, they harbored a flicker, like a blade, tempered and encased in ice. Disinterested, then disregarded. With that, she turned and walked away. Duan Xiaoming beheld her as she opened the door and departed. He adjusted the collar of his bathrobe, leisurely trailing after her. He required a moment to reflect. There was much to ponder. Beyond contemplating her words, there was a subtle detail worthy of note. Duan Xiaoming distinctly remembered that she had initially wielded the brush with her right hand, yet upon finishing the skull, she had cast aside the brush with her left. Immersed in thought, he meandered into the corridor, observing her approach a dashing young waiter. Just as she was poised to speak, Duan Xiaoming advanced with remarkable swiftness, capturing her before she could regain her poise, enveloping her within his strong embrace. His physique was imposing, yet he exerted no force, and her wrist flushed a deep crimson. She displayed minimal reaction, calmly raising her gaze to meet his, devoid of any emotion or warmth. Duan Xiaoming scrutinized her visage and form, a frigid smirk gracing his lips. "Very well. Let us succumb to slumber. If we are to indulge, let it be in the most exquisite manner." With that declaration, he firmly seized her and departed with purpose. Shortly thereafter, within the private chamber, a multitude of individuals burst through the entrance, only to be met with horrified gasps. Who has marred this painting? What travesty! It was rendered with such beauty. That skull is utterly terrifying. Is this but a mere scribble? Curse it! Where has that wretched woman vanished? She overshadowed my wedding. How could she depart before I had the opportunity to appraise her creation? Now this masterpiece lies sullied. Dear Lu Qian, was it not you who compelled her into that ill-fitting garment? Silence. By the way, who is she? She is undeniably breathtaking. Silence. Deep within the hotel, ensconced in a secluded courtyard embraced by verdant trees, Lu Mingyu felt a sudden force as the man effortlessly lifted her and positioned her upon the bed. He ruthlessly tore open the buttons of her cheongsam, displaying a complete disregard for her fragility. Yet, at the most pivotal moment, he reached out to extinguish the lights. Almost immediately, he furrowed his brow. Something felt amiss. He illuminated the room once more and cast a glance at her. "Is this your first time?" he inquired, astonished. Lu Mingyu offered a faint smile. "What of it?" Duan Xiaoming gazed at the exquisite visage mere inches from his own. "Are you out of your mind?" Lu Mingyu replied, "Not in the slightest." Duan Xiaoming frowned. "Why are you not uttering a word?" Lu Mingyu shrugged. Was there to articulate? Duan Xiaoming insisted. "If you had claimed it was your inaugural experience, I would not have been so insistent." He presumed. Lu Mingyu replied with an air of tranquility. "Is it not all the same?" Duan Xiaoming examined her visage closely. "What troubles you? Are you in your right mind?" She was stunningly beautiful, yet appeared somewhat unhinged. Lu Mingyu responded, "I am entirely sane. Shall we proceed?" Duan Xiaoming fell into silence for a moment, evading her gaze. Words were futile at this juncture. He extinguished the lights once more, embarking anew from the very beginning. Lu Mingyu chuckled. Are you always this gentle in bed? It seems rather uncharacteristic. His commanding presence was sufficiently intimidating to deter anyone from meeting his gaze. His muscular physique could easily dominate her. A quintessential predator, yet mere moments prior, he had displayed an unexpected tenderness. Duan Xiaoming did not respond immediately. A lengthy silence ensued. I have never shared a bed with anyone before, he confessed, his voice hoarse. This revelation left Lu Mingyu momentarily taken aback. From that moment onward, Duan Xiaoming exercised caution, even abstaining from pressing down upon her. Time flowed unnoticed. Eventually, Duan Xiaoming paused, altering his position and drawing her to his side. She felt as if she were weightless, effortlessly lifted by his single hand. Lu Mingyu inquired, "Are you still interested?" Duan Xiaoming's tone bore a weighty sincerity. "Could you illuminate the room? I wish to behold you." Without uttering a word, Lu Mingyu reached across to activate the lamp on the bedside table. The soft, warm glow cast a gentle light upon her elegant form. Duan Xiaoming closed his eyes. Lu Mingyu, gazing at the man above her, asked, "Are you not curious to look?" She beheld him, and indeed, his physique was striking. Broad shoulders, a slender waist, elongated legs, and a flawless V-line complemented by sculpted abs. He radiated strength and resilience. Duan Xiaoming averted his gaze momentarily, only to return it after a considerable pause. This time, he tenderly placed several kisses upon her. As his lips met hers, she smiled. Duan Xiaoming, concealing an inner turmoil, inquired, "What troubles you?" Lu Mingyu responded, "I find pleasure in it." He remarked, "You are unaware of my identity, yet you express fondness for me?" To which Lu Mingyu replied, "I admire your technique in kissing." Her eyes remained aloof, even though her body radiated warmth. Her gaze was perpetually piercing. Duan Xiaoming brushed his lips against her eyelids, murmuring, "You truly possess no heart." He then lowered his lips to hers, his breath warm against her skin. As if grappling with an unseen struggle, he exerted minimal effort, one hand gently guiding the way. Lu Mingyu chuckled softly. "What is it that you fear?" Duan Xiaoming responded, expressing concern that she might injure herself. As night fell, he listened to the sounds emanating from the shower. Draped in a bathrobe, he pushed open the glass door and stepped into the courtyard where a wrought-tan chair awaited him. He settled into the chair and lit a cigarette. He, too, had succumbed to madness, following this woman down a path of insanity. Moments later, Lu Mingyu appeared, impeccably attired. Duan Xiaoming furrowed his brow, contemplating the significance of her appearance. Before he could pose his question, she casually extracted a cigarette from his pack with her delicate fingers. With a swift motion, she ignited it, the flame coming to life effortlessly. She did not direct her gaze towards him, but instead stared into the distance, exhaling soft rings of smoke. Duan Xiaoming examined her closely and inquired, "What is your true nature? Are you afflicted with a split personality?" Lu Mingyu offered no reply, merely extinguishing her cigarette with a faint smile, declaring, "Smoking is not enjoyable." Duan Xiaoming countered, "Given your familiarity with it, I presumed you indulged frequently." Lu Mingyu responded, "It is your cigarette that lacks allure." Rising to his feet, Duan Xiaoming declared, "I shall procure some lady cigarettes for you." He also intended to buy food, as she had consumed not a single bite during the wedding festivities. Lu Mingyu chuckled softly, making her way towards the gate, and without a moment's hesitation, she opened the door and departed. Upon Duan Xiaoming's emergence, he was met with nothing but emptiness. Chapter 3. Escaping to pursue graduate studies the following day, Zhan Xiang, appearing perplexed, inquired, "Who? What?" Duan Xiaoming answered, "The one in the qipao from yesterday's wedding. The most exquisite of them all." Zhan Xiang shook his head vehemently, asserting, "There was no such individual." Duan Xiaoming's frustration surged. "Are your eyes deceiving you?" She was more resplendent than any celestial body, adorned only with the faintest touch of makeup. Zhan Xiang, still in a state of bewilderment, shook his head once more. "If she were indeed that exquisite, I would surely remember. Yet no beauty in a qipao could eclipse the stars." Duan Xiaoming's countenance darkened, a chilling smile appearing. "So, I encountered a specter yesterday." Zhan Xiang fell into a contemplative silence. Duan Xiaoming's gaze bore into him. Zhan Xiang stuttered, What was her name? I can inquire." Duan Xiaoming, growing increasingly vexed, retorted, "I do not know." Zhang Xiang gasped, "Then how shall we locate her?" Duan Xiaoming was too weary to offer a reply. In the blink of an eye, she had disappeared. Had she departed at once? Not a moment's pause. Heartless. Truly a merciless soul, capable of obliterating her own creation. Zhang Xiang sensed an unsettling undercurrent and inquired, "Brother Ming, the wedding you attended yesterday, was it my great-uncle's golden anniversary?" Duan Xiaoming paused, contemplating the notion of a golden anniversary. Zhang Xiang affirmed with vigorous nods. The expression on Duan Xiaoming's face shifted as he probed further. "Did you perhaps attend by mistake?" Zhang Xiang responded, "There were 5 weddings at that hotel yesterday." Duan Xiaoming's gaze sharpened with urgency. "Locate her." In a state of near desperation, Zhang Xiang nearly fell to his knees, exclaiming, "Brother Ming, this is beyond our jurisdiction. How am I to find her? She is merely a guest at another's celebration." Duan Xiaoming insisted, "What of your great-uncle?" Zhang Xiang lamented, "How many generations have passed? We haven't seen each other in over a decade." Duan Xiaoming, gritting his teeth, pressed on, "Do you possess no connections whatsoever?" Zhang Xiang replied, "Minggu, this is my first visit to Shizi City. How far is it from Xiangjia?" There exists a semblance of truth in that assertion. Duan Xiaoming, reluctant to articulate even a single word, irritably shut his eyes. His thoughts were ensnared by the haunting reverberations of her voice from the preceding night, intertwined with the captivating profundity of her gaze. Zhang Xiang, observing him, remarked, "Minggu, I had always presumed you possessed little interest in the fairer sex." Duan Xiaoming abruptly opened his eyes, his stare sharp and penetrating. Zhang Xiang hastily gestured. "That is not my intention. What I meant to imply was, Jiang and women, the gentle sort? Surely, that cannot be accurate." Duan Xiaoming knitted his brow in deep concentration, exclaiming, "She bears the likeness of a spectral Jiangnan woman." Zhang Xiang found himself rendered speechless. Given such a description and tone, something felt amiss. Could it be that she's indebted to him? Zhang Xiang suggested. A living person would not simply disappear. Should we not inform the authorities? Duan Xiaoming felt an overwhelming urge to curse. The day following Lu Qian's nuptials, she returned to her familial abode. Yet her newlywed husband was conspicuously absent. The dinner table buzzed with merriment, filled with all the male and female members of the Lu family, save for the grandmother. In a quiet corner, Lu Mingyu sat, consumed by his meal. Lu Qian cast a frigid glance toward the seat of honor and exclaimed, "Lu Mingyu created quite a disturbance at my wedding yesterday." Lu Mingyu, keeping his gaze averted, continued to eat, responding, "I was not present in the banquet hall throughout the ceremony. I was sequestered in a private room painting, causing no ruckus whatsoever." Lu Qian shot him a glare, retorting, "That painting was defaced. It was marred by a blood-red skull. Why were you not keeping watch over it?" Lu Mingyu explained, "I was merely a touch hungry and departed early." Lu Qian scoffed, "Would a brief moment of hunger lead to your demise? My husband did not even accompany me home. It is all that skull's doing. It is ominous. You simply lack common sense." Aunt Du Wenxin turned her attention to Lu Mingyu, her brow furrowed. "Mingyu, as a scion of a distinguished family, you must remain cognizant of your public persona. Following a wedding, discussions about your conduct are rampant. It is utterly disgraceful." Lu Qian interjected precisely. "Is there no sense of shame?" Elder brother Lu Lin interposed. "Enough of this. She has committed no wrongdoing." Lu Qian, seething with indignation, retorted, "Brother, why do you defend her? I insisted on confining her and prohibiting her attendance at my wedding. Why did you insist on bringing her?" At that moment, Uncle Lu Qiuyang rapped sharply on the table. "Let us curtail the idle chatter. Where are your manners?" The room fell into a hushed stillness. Lu Qiuyang glanced over and remarked, "Mingyu, please visit my study after dinner." Lu Mingyu acknowledged with a simple understood. In the study, Lu Qiuyang sat upright at his desk, adorned with gold-rimmed spectacles as he leafed through a book, while his other hand absent-mindedly toyed with a string of olive pits, producing a gentle tap-tap sound. He emanated an aura of sophistication, epitomizing the essence of a cultured aristocrat. Lu Mingyu stood before the desk, lacking a chair to occupy. Approximately an hour later, Lu Qiuyang finally raised his gaze and inquired, "Do you wish to venture into the backyard?" Lu Mingyu replied, Uncle, I too am a member of the Liu family. Am I not permitted to wander in my own home? Lu Qiuyang responded, Your grandmother's health is delicate. Please do not disturb her. Lu Mingyu remained silent. Lu Qiuyang continued, When you come to terms with this situation, that will be the moment you may meet her. Whether in 3 months or 3 years, the choice lies with you. Lu Mingyu was lost in contemplation. Lu Qiuyang's tender gaze rested upon her as he gently added, Provided you accept my conditions, you may visit grandmother at your discretion. Lu Mingyu retorted sharply, drop dead. Lu Qiuyang lowered his eyes to the tome in his hands, his tone warm as he instructed, Recite the lessons of womanhood. The following day, a young woman adorned in a resplendent dress arrived at the Lu residence. She was Su Siyue, the treasured jewel of the Su family. Upon her arrival, the members of the Lu family eagerly approached, greeting her with heartfelt warmth. Lu Lin exclaimed, Yeah, have you returned from abroad? On a holiday? Su Siyue replied, I have returned to graduate. Lu Lin playfully remarked, You still possess such youthful vigor. Our Ye shall eternally remain 18. Su Siyue retorted, I am 22. Kindly refrain from labeling me as young. Shortly thereafter, Lu Mingyu made her entrance into the parlor. Su Siyue advanced, intertwining her arm with Lu Mingyu's. Mingyu, let us venture out and seek some amusement. Lu Mingyu lifted her gaze towards the other members of the Lu family. Lu Lin approached. May I accompany you both? Su Siyue quickly interjected, No, that would be quite bothersome. Lu Lin chuckled. Very well then. Without a moment's hesitation, Su Siyue seized Lu Mingyu's hand and led her outside. Once they were in the open air, Su Siyue eagerly asked, Mingyu, what is our plan? Lu Mingyu replied, The airport. Su Siyue's eyes gleamed with exhilaration. How thrilling. Let's proceed. She accelerated her scooter with fervor, exclaiming with joy, Lu Mingyu, I can hardly believe it. You truly dare to engage in such a reckless escapade? I have never attempted anything of the sort. The two had been acquainted since they were 12, sharing the same age. Su Siyue had not witnessed such a spirited side of Lu Mingyu in years. When she received the phone call the previous night, she was so exhilarated that sleep eluded her. Lu Mingyu regarded her with a knowing look, warning, You shall find yourself in trouble upon your return. Su Siyue raised an eyebrow defiantly. And so what? The Su and Lu families enjoyed a long-standing camaraderie. The Lu family, however, was undergoing a decline due to the absence of the grandfather and the grandmother's deteriorating health. In stark contrast, the Su family flourished. Both elders were in robust health and wielded considerable influence in Shizi City. As the sole girl of her generation, and with her father serving as the current patriarch of the Su family, Su Siyue was immensely cherished. No matter how serious her transgressions, there would always be someone to soften the blow. By the way, where are you headed? Su Siyue inquired. Lu Mingyu replied, England. Su Siyue gasped in astonishment. What? You're traveling to Europe? You embark upon your exhilarating escapade with remarkable audacity. Lu Mingyu offered a subtle smile, remarking upon London as the destination for my master's degree. Chapter 4. Ocean Cruise. Su Siyue exclaimed in disbelief. Wow. You're incredible. Lu Mingyu replied, It's a secret. Su Siyue assured, I will certainly keep it a secret. The Lu family is rather eccentric. Except for you, of course. By the way, which school? Lu Mingyu responded, The Royal College of Art. Su Siyue exclaimed, What? Lu Mingyu clarified, The Royal College of Art, the foremost art institution globally. Su Siyue shouted again, Ah, you're amazing. How did you gain admission? Noticing Su Siyue's excited expression, Lu Mingyu smiled in return. You've seen my portfolio. Su Siyue pondered for a moment and inquired. The tuition fees at such prestigious institutions must be exorbitant, correct? Is the Lu family refusing to provide you with financial support? How did you manage to secure your proof of funds? What about living expenses and accommodation? And when did you take the IELTS examination? She could scarcely endure the thought of delving too deeply. The more she pondered, the more intimidating it seemed. Su Siyue was utterly perplexed. Lu Mingyu responded, Do you recall 6 months ago, during your spring break when you returned home? Su Siyue was taken aback. I remember. You mentioned that your room was small, and you painted in my family's basement. Did you create a rather large piece? Lu Mingyu confirmed, Indeed, I sent it to a gallery in Yaodu, and it sold. After the commission and taxes were deducted, The financial proof just met the minimum requirement for the Royal College of Art. Su Su Yu was astonished. That painting sold for such a substantial amount. My goodness. Lu Mingyu, you are a genius. Lu Mingyu replied. The buyer was quite generous. I didn't expect it either. Su Su Yu continued to exclaim, but your planning and arrangements are exceedingly meticulous. You even specifically sought out a gallery in Yaodu. No wonder the Lu family remained oblivious. I had no forewarning whatsoever. You simply took off for London without a moment's notice. Lu Mingyu found her exuberance quite entertaining. Su Su Yu knitted her brow and inquired, but what of your grandmother? The smile gradually diminished from Lu Mingyu's visage as she responded. They have not permitted me to see her for 3 years. There is no need to extend this. Her chamber was located at the far end of the 3rd floor of the main edifice, while her grandmother's quarters resided in the small structure at the rear of the courtyard. Despite being situated within the same estate, the Lu family had barred the two from even encountering one another for 3 years. Her grandfather had departed early, leaving the Lu family under the dominion of her uncle, Lu Qiuliang. Lu Mingyu's father, the second son of the Lu family, renounced his birthright to accompany Lu Mingyu's mother to Yaodu. Lu Mingyu was born, nurtured, and attended elementary school in Yaodu. The trio lived in harmonious bliss. However, calamity befell them when she was 12, as her parents tragically perished in a car accident. Subsequently, the Lu family brought her to Shizi Cheng. From that moment forth, everything transformed. Su Su Yu muttered a curse and proclaimed, "Then do not concern yourself with it. Eat well and live well. Should you ever find yourself in need, do not hesitate to inform me. I shall provide you with financial support. Concentrate on your studies. I shall be your steadfast supporter." 3 months later, a magnificent cruise ship, departing from Xiangshan AO, gracefully ventured into the vast expanse of the sea. The interior radiated with brilliant illumination, a realm of luxury, where crowds eagerly flocked to various entertainment venues. The elevator descended slowly from the uppermost floor. Upon its opening, several bodyguards swiftly emerged to shield the view from the throng. At the center, a tall man clad in a sleek, collarless black suit walked with an air of confidence that rendered the onlookers unable to catch a glimpse of him. Beside him was another young man of similar age, keeping pace closely. Yin Tianzhua, dressed in a vibrant floral shirt, trailed half a step behind Duan Xiaoming, chattering incessantly. "Brother Ming, I yearn to visit Shizi Cheng as well," exclaimed Yin Tianzhua. "Once this business is concluded, may I exchange places with Zhang Xiang?" Duan Xiaoming remained silent, his demeanor seemingly sour. Undeterred by his attitude, Yin Tianzhua continued, "I have heard from Zhang Xiang that Shizi Cheng is simply breathtaking. I yearn to witness the majestic ancient trees standing tall and to sip tea in the quaint bars nestled within the woods." Duan Xiaoming subtly curled the corners of his mouth. "Shizi," Yin Tianzhua, brimming with enthusiasm, exclaimed, "Indeed, the beauty of West Lake arises from Shizi City. I long to visit. Once the matters in Hong Kong are resolved, Minggu, I implore you to take me along. I desire to behold the splendors of Jiangnan." However, Duan Xiaoming's smile faded, his gaze turning icy, and his steps became increasingly deliberate. The allure of Shizi City and its enchanting maidens of Jiangnan. After 3 months of searching, they have seemingly evaporated into thin air. Yin Tianzhua finally perceived the alteration in Duan Xiaoming's demeanor and promptly lowered his gaze, falling into silence. What had he inadvertently uttered? At a dining table within the cruise ship's restaurant sat 3 women and 1 man. Lu Mingyu was savoring her meal. Su Wenjun glanced over and inquired, "Mingyu, will you not partake in any activities? It is the final day. Shall we explore the entertainment venue together?" Lu Mingyu shook her head, replying, "I have no funds." Su Wenjun generously responded, "That is of no concern. We can engage in the smaller games. I shall treat you." Lu Mingyu continued to decline, asserting, I do not gamble." Su Wenjun proposed, "If you're not playing, how about we at least enter and take a glimpse, since we are already here?" Su Su Yu shot him a disapproving glance, saying, "Brother, do you ever cease? You are incessantly asking." She has stated her refusal. Are you deaf? Su Wenjun fell into silence, his mood dampened. Lu Mingyu's spirits sank even lower. Upon her arrival at Hong Kong airport, She had whimsically chosen to journey to Xiangshan AO, seeking to expand her horizons and ignite her artistic inspiration. She had intentionally embarked on this cruise, drawn by tales of its proprietor's fervor for amassing celebrated paintings, with numerous masterpieces gracing the walls. Yet, to her surprise, she encountered a trio from the south. Their meeting was enveloped in an awkward silence. Su Yu was utterly taken aback. She had never expected to find Lu Mingyu here, as she recalled that the Royal Art Academy operated under a 3-term system. It dawned on her that 3 months signified the conclusion of a term, and indeed, this was a holiday. Su Yu was left utterly speechless. It was an improbable twist of fate to cross paths here, so distant from Shizi City. Had she been aware, they might have communicated in advance. Shang-Chi nestled into Su Wenjun's embrace, playfully exclaiming her desire for amusement. Su Wenjun enveloped her with his arm, assuring her, "Today, I shall guarantee your enjoyment. We shall revel to our heart's content." Su Yu asserted, "I wish to join as well. No one can deter me." Su Wenjun countered, "Do you perceive yourself as a mere third wheel? Are you of the appropriate age? Entry is forbidden for those under 21. Su Yu retorted, "I am already 22. Su Wenjun summoned the waiter to settle the bill, chuckling, 22 is still rather youthful. Take heed, or you may find yourself returning home to a rebuke from your father." Su Yu's indignation grew. "What of Lu Mingyu? She's also 22. Why is she permitted to attend? I believe you are the one with issues." Su Wenjun responded, "My concern for her is rooted in genuine intentions. Do you truly fail to comprehend, or are you merely pretending to be oblivious? 3 months prior, your recklessness and immaturity drove Uncle Lu to despair." Su Yu protested, "What is the fuss all about? It is merely a 3-month journey." Su Wenjun chided her, "You are you, and she is she. She embodies grace and sophistication, in stark contrast to your carefree wanderings. It appears you have been rather indulged." Shang-Chi interjected, Enough. Let's put an end to this bickering. Why must siblings engage in such discord?" After settling the bill, the trio did not proceed directly to the entertainment venue, but instead accompanied Lu Mingyu back to her room. Su Wenjun remarked, "Do not be as headstrong as Ye. Leaving home for 3 months is rather excessive. Once the cruise docks, I shall see you safely back." Lu Mingyu nodded in agreement, "All right." Before closing the door, Su Wenjun cautioned, "Do not wander aimlessly. This is the open sea after all, not Shizi City, and it is not safe." With a resolute click, the door shut. Chapter 5. The snap of a finger, Lu Mingyu sat quietly on the bed, unlocking her phone screen with her right hand. Her device operated on dual systems, and at that moment, the secondary system was inundated with missed calls and unread messages. As soon as she opened it, a call from Shizi City rang out. Indeed, Su Wenjun had already informed the Lu family. Choosing not to answer the call or check the messages, she switched systems and returned to the primary interface. She then stood up and departed. Her belongings were minimal, consisting solely of a handheld travel bag, which she picked up and took with her. The cruise ship was vast and opulent. For the past 3 days, she had been closely monitored by Su Wenjun and had not had the opportunity to explore properly. Arriving in the Grand Hall, she meandered aimlessly, surrounded by extravagant, high-priced decorations, and indeed, the walls were adorned with renowned paintings, each a treasure in its own right. She paused before one painting, standing transfixed for 10 minutes. Nearby, a spiraling staircase beckoned. Duan Xiaoming, who was about to descend, halted mid-step. The surrounding bodyguards also came to a standstill. Yin Tianzhua, distracted, nearly collided with a bodyguard, narrowly managing to halt his momentum. He turned, puzzled. Minge? Duan Xiaoming's gaze was intently fixed upon a figure in the distance, and he gestured with subtle discretion. The bodyguards, in response, retreated silently, disappearing around a corner. Yin Tianzhua pointed to himself, inquiring wordlessly. Duan Xiaoming's gesture remained resolute, his fingers imperceptibly shifting. Yin Tianzhua swiftly stepped back, moving with a stealth surpassing that of the bodyguards as he ascended the staircase. This represented the utmost signal of silence and withdrawal from the Duan family, typically employed in treacherous negotiations. Yin Tianzhua quickly assumed a state of readiness, instinctively placing a hand on his lower back, his eyes reflecting a fierce determination. Unsure of the evolving circumstances, he remained poised for immediate action at Ming Ji's behest. Thus, enveloped in an ambience of gravity, Duan Xiaoming meticulously adjusted his collar and descended the staircase with measured grace. At that instant, Lu Mingyu stood captivated before the painting, lost in admiration for the masterpiece. Entirely oblivious to the figure approaching her, Duan Xiaoming paused momentarily behind her, yet she remained unaware, even shifting her stance to appreciate the subsequent artwork. With a flourish, Duan Xiaoming raised his hand. Snap! He snapped his fingers. She turned around, astonished. It was indeed him. Today, he was neither draped in a bathrobe nor excessively formal. Beneath the collarless suit jacket, he donned a simple t-shirt. His hair was meticulously styled, presenting a dashing, Hong Kong-inspired slick back, revealing a prominent forehead that highlighted his pronounced brow. He radiated an air of confidence, having appeared before her on 2 previous occasions without any form of disguise. She perceived a certain nonchalance and audacity emanating from him. He possessed an allure she longed for yet found unattainable. A faint smile graced the corners of Duan Xiaoming's lips. To her astonishment, he had encountered her here, not in Shizi City, but rather upon the open sea, aboard his vessel. As she beheld such a striking figure, he remained silent, captivated by her enchanting eyes. Yet, Lu Mingyu regarded him with a curious expression. Single? She inquired. Duan Xiaoming raised an eyebrow, amusement glimmering in his eyes. Otherwise? In search of you. Shall we slumber once more? She proposed. Duan Xiaoming furrowed his brow. After 3 months of separation, she wished to share a bed without uttering a single word. He scrutinized her, his gaze drifting over her travel bag, and his spirits sank dramatically. Then, a chuckle escaped him, tinged with a touch of scorn. Very well. He extended his hand and, with the same vigor as 3 months prior, drew her away. In the shadowy recess of the spiral staircase, Yan Tianzu stood in a state of astonishment, exchanging perplexed glances with a group of bodyguards. Duan Xiaoming guided Lu Mingyu into the private elevator. As the doors of the elevator slid shut, he pressed his lips against hers with fervor, fierce, intense, with formidable strength. He restrained her with one hand while the other ventured boldly. She hardly had a moment to discern the floor to which the elevator was ascending. Ding! The elevator doors parted. Duan Xiaoming swept her into his embrace, striding purposefully toward the door at the corridor's end. Once more, he forcefully deposited her onto the bed, swiftly disrobing her. His actions resonated with a sense of retribution. Were you wearing it? She inquired. His voice brimmed with fury. I was. Amidst the tempest, she began to laugh. Duan Xiaoming, suppressing his emotions, asked, so skilled, aside from me, how many others have you pursued? Lu Mingyu replied, no one. Duan Xiaoming scrutinized her for a moment. The expression in her eyes was strikingly sincere. Did I cause you pain? He inquired, and Lu Mingyu was momentarily taken aback by his unexpected change in demeanor. He lowered his head, gently kissing her eyes before capturing her lips. This time, their breaths mingled with an entirely different emotion. After a significant pause, he posed the question again. Truly, there is no one else? Lu Mingyu responded with nonchalance. Is there a need for me to deceive you? Not even acquaintances. Duan Xiaoming abruptly asked, if I hadn't pulled you away last time, what would you have said to that waitress? Lu Mingyu was briefly stunned before replying. I would have asked for directions. Duan Xiaoming paused once more. Lu Mingyu playfully teased. Are you worried? Duan Xiaoming remained silent. How could he not be concerned? After a prolonged silence, a subdued, muffled sound escaped from his nostrils. Long and lingering, it was entwined in a tender embrace. He tempered his strength, cautious of inflicting any harm upon her. The sea, illuminated by the moonlight, glimmered like silver as Lu Mingyu was stirred by his presence. When the morning light cascaded, she was awakened once more by his kiss. His fervent breath caressed her ear, growing increasingly passionate. Tell me your name, he implored, his voice imbued with a profound, unspoken intensity. Lu Mingyu chuckled softly. It is of no consequence. Duan Xiaoming pressed further. Could you exhibit a modicum of concern? Her expression remained impassive. He leaned down, kissing the corner of her eye. Has your gaze always held such a quality? Lu Mingyu let out a light laugh. He traced her lips with his eyes half closed as he gazed upon her. The depths of his eyes shifted momentarily. Suddenly, he kissed her with an insatiable yearning, delving deeper. "Have you thought of me?" he whispered tenderly, his lips brushing against the corner of hers. She remained silent, offering only a subtle response. Subsequently, she gently pushed him away and made her way to the shower. Duan Xiuming donned a bathrobe and settled himself on the sofa outside, awaiting her return. When she emerged, she was indeed fully dressed. He fixed his gaze upon her and inquired, "Are you leaving again?" Having discerned her intentions, she appeared devoid of sentiment. Lu Mingyu nodded slightly in acknowledgement as she proceeded towards the door. The cruise ship was approaching the shore. "Wait," Duan Xiuming called out to her. Lu Mingyu turned back, her eyes questioning. Duan Xiuming chose his words with care, asking, "Am I satisfactory to you?" Lu Mingyu's gaze traversed the expanse of her bathrobe, a nonchalant smile gracing her lips. He appeared to have spent a sleepless night, yet his alertness was striking. Duan Xiuming's lips curled into a subtle smile as he tore a note from the table, hastily inscribing a series of numbers before presenting it to her. Speaking with sincerity, he urged, "Should you require anything, do not hesitate to contact me. Do not seek assistance from others." Lu Mingyu playfully pinched the note between her fingers and teased, "Available upon request." Duan Xiuming affirmed, "At your service." Lu Mingyu pretended to be indifferent, quipping, "Shall I compensate you? You seem quite devoted." With that, she tossed the note into the waste bin behind her and made her exit. The door clicked shut. Duan Xiuming remained fixed on a trash can. Chapter 6. The clown. Upon Lu Mingyu's arrival, she was swiftly ushered inside, her surroundings slipping from her awareness. It became evident to her that she stood in a solitary chamber. Approaching the elevator, she soon discovered her access rights to any floor were non-existent. The nearby emergency exit, too, was secured. Behind her, a solitary click resonated as the door to the room swung open. Duan Xiuming, still clad in his bathrobe, advanced towards her with a determined stride. His demeanor was formidable. With one hand, he seized Lu Mingyu assertively, while with the other, he deftly snatched her phone. "Unlock it," he commanded, fixing her with an unyielding gaze that radiated an almost tangible intensity. Yet, she remained undaunted and composed. After a fleeting moment, she extended her left thumb and unlocked the phone screen. Duan Xiuming returned the device to her, continuing his unwavering scrutiny. "Scan and add me," he instructed. A flicker of mischief danced in Lu Mingyu's eyes as she acquiesced. Duan Xiuming raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What does that expression signify? Did she find it amusing? The friend request was promptly accepted. Duan Xiuming inquired, "How many days will you be staying in Xiangshan AO? May I offer to show you around?" Lu Mingyu responded, "I am not staying. I am departing." Duan Xiuming, feeling a twinge of frustration, exclaimed, "Is there something so pressing that you must leave? Just once or twice?" Lu Mingyu retorted, "Does my family situation not hold significance?" Duan Xiuming conceded, "That is a valid point." With that, he leaned toward the elevator's facial recognition panel. The elevator resumed its descent. "Do not delete or block me," he cautioned as he relinquished his grip on her. The elevator doors gradually closed. Duan Xiuming observed as the elevator descended, floor after floor. She truly departed without a moment's hesitation. Upon returning to his room, he examined her profile, noting the absence of any posts. Her nickname was Ye. In English? In Pinyin? What could it possibly signify? The cruise has arrived at the port, making its way back to Xiangshan Bay. Lu Mingyu swiftly disembarks, skillfully navigating through the throngs of people until she disappears from view. Shortly thereafter, the Su siblings emerge from the elevator. Su Wenjun surveys the surroundings, inquiring, "Where is Mingyu?" The room is devoid of any presence. Sang Qi, feeling a tinge of jealousy, comments, "Wenjun, why are you so preoccupied with her?" Su Wenjun knits his brow, retorting, "You may involve yourself in other matters, but do not pry into my personal affairs with her." Sang Qi's countenance darkens immediately. Meanwhile, Su Siyue remains impassive, absorbed in her phone until a notification appears. She tucks her phone away and strides purposefully towards the exit. Su Wenjun calls out, "Yaya?" Su Siyue responds, "Mingyu has already disembarked." Su Wenjun exclaims, Why did you not mention this sooner? Su Siyue counters, what concern is it of yours? Frustrated, Su Wenjun replies, is this yet another of your ploys? Have you lost your senses, Su Siyue? Su Siyue suddenly halts her steps and pivots to confront him, exclaiming, you are the one who has lost your senses. Who do you presume to be, attempting to dictate her life? Su Wenjun, filled with indignation, proclaims, I am your brother. How dare you address me in such a manner? Su Siyue retorts sharply, I utterly refuse to acknowledge that a simpleton like you could possibly be my brother. Sans qu'il swiftly interjecte, urgent. Siblings ought not to quarrel over an outsider. It is quite superfluous. In the infernal city, amidst the cemetery, a taxi arrives and comes to a halt. Lu Mingyu pays the fare and disembarks, clutching a bouquet of blossoms. At that moment, another vehicle approaches and screeches to a stop. The driver and front passenger doors swing open simultaneously, and two imposing figures emerge, obstructing her path. Lu Mingyu pauses, her gaze fixed upon the car adjacent to her. The door opens gradually, revealing polished black leather shoes as a man in a suit strides forth with long, confident steps. His tall frame and elegant bearing are unmistakable. He approaches Lu Mingyu with a leisurely demeanor before extending his hand. Suddenly, a resounding slap echoes as it strikes her face without hesitation. You are indeed here, Lu Lin states icily. Lu Mingyu meets his gaze, retorting, did you truly believe your uncle could ascertain my location? Lu Lin retorts, do not underestimate the intelligence of people. Lu Mingyu begins to analyze. However, he cannot be entirely certain. It should be a collaborative effort. Your presence here seems coincidental while Lu Qian is at Xiangjiang Airport, where security is notably stringent, perhaps around 10 or 20 guards. Oh, wait. She suddenly dismisses her own conjecture and corrects herself. Your uncle is indeed at Xiangjiang Airport, is he not? Lu Lin's voice escapes through clenched teeth. Lu Mingyu, can your cunning run any deeper? All your deductions were accurate. Lu Mingyu's gaze intensifies. It appears you are truly making quite a commotion. Lu Lin raises his hand once more. Do you dare to cast such a look upon me? Lu Mingyu meets his gaze defiantly. You strike me before my parents. Are you not fearful of nightmares tonight? Lu Lin's face contorts with fury. I fear nothing. Lu Mingyu counters. You have not visited since my parents' passing, have you? Are you certain you will not check on your uncle and aunt? Lu Lin's voice drips with sarcasm. I do not recognize her as my aunt. Lu Mingyu replies with a smile, claiming, my mother is 100 times more exquisite than yours. Lu Lin retorts angrily, shut your mouth. With piercing eyes, Lu Mingyu counters, my mother was not interred alongside my father. It was your father who orchestrated that arrangement. Your father harbors a twisted psyche towards my mother. Lu Lin fiercely interjects, shut your mouth. He raises his hand, intending to strike her. Swiftly, Lu Mingyu responds, oh, by the way, if you dare to mar this visage of mine, can you fathom how your father would descend into madness? In a sudden fit of rage, Lu Lin seizes her by the neck, consumed by murderous fury. The grace dissipated as Lu Mingyu, with but a few words, transmuted him into a fiend. Yet, Lu Mingyu appeared oblivious to the anguish, merely observing him as he desperately tightened his grasp. Eventually, two bodyguards stepped forth to separate the pair. As Lu Lin finally regained his composure and inhaled deeply, he lifted his gaze, only to encounter her eyes overflowing with provocation. He growled, I genuinely wish to pluck out your eyes. Lu Mingyu responded with a smile full. Lu Lin lost his temper once again. Lu Mingyu. Nevertheless, Lu Mingyu, clutching a bouquet of flowers, turned and made her way toward the cemetery. Halt! You cannot leave, he cried, hastily pursuing her. Without a backward glance, Lu Mingyu proclaimed, I am resolute in my intention to tend to this grave today, unless you take my life. Lu Mingyu, Lu Lin roared. Yet, he dared not advance another step. Terror seized him at the mere thought of the cemetery. He admonished the two bodyguards. Are you blind? Retrieve her for me. The two swiftly advanced, obstructing Lu Mingyu at the cemetery's entrance. Lu Mingyu gazed upward, her pallid visage reflecting confusion. Have I come this far only to be denied entry? The two, struck by a surge of sympathy, merely shook their heads. With a wry smile, Lu Mingyu inquired, May I leave the flowers with the attendant and have the staff carry them inside? They acquiesced with a nod. Truly, Miss Lu was a figure of profound pity. Lu Mingyu approached the guard and delicately placed the flowers down. The bodyguards, unable to withstand the tension, refrained from closely tailing her, merely observing with watchful eyes to thwart any potential escape. With her back turned to the two bodyguards, Lu Mingyu deftly retrieved an item from her travel bag, discreetly hiding it beneath the bouquet. As she communicated silently with the guard, she dispatched a text message with remarkable speed. In less than a minute, she pivoted and departed. The bodyguards exhaled in relief, escorting her towards the vehicle. Lu Mingyu gripped her phone tightly while stowing the travel bag in the trunk. Chapter 7. The Great White Shark of the High Seas inside the car. Lu Lin awaited her presence in the back seat. The door swung open, and Lu Mingyu entered. Taking a seat beside him, Lu Lin extended his hand, demanding, "Surrender your phone." Without a hint of resistance, Lu Mingyu powered down her phone and relinquished it. Lu Lin asserted, "You shall not be contacting anyone. Su Suyue can no longer protect you. This farce shall not prevail a second time." Lu Mingyu fell into silence. After casting a fleeting glance at her, Lu Lin's attention abruptly shifted to the trunk behind the seat. That bag. In that instant, Lu Mingyu broke the silence. Expressing her thirst, Lu Lin disregarded her entreaty. "Brother," she persisted. Lu Lin frowned and directed his gaze at her. "Lingo, do you recall how I used to address you in our youth? Our bond was splendid back then." Lu Lin retorted sharply. "Silence your tongue." Lu Mingyu laughed lightly, "Huh? A jester indeed." Lu Lin ground his teeth in frustration. "You are truly wicked." Lu Mingyu countered, "You have left me no choice." Lu Lin's fists tightened, brimming with animosity. Memories surged forth, colliding tumultuously in his mind. He had remained unaware of his father's nefarious intentions until many years prior, when Lu Mingyu intentionally incited Du Wenxin to madness, unearthing the truth during their heated exchange. In that moment, Lu Lin had been nearby, listening with rapt attention. Lu Mingyu had been present as well, the derisive glimmer in her eyes unmistakable. He recalled it with striking clarity. She was exacting her vengeance upon him. A decade earlier, upon Lu Mingyu's arrival at the Lu household, a fierce confrontation had erupted between her and Lu Qian. Lu Lin had unwaveringly supported his younger sister, Lu Qian. Witnessing the 12-year-old Lu Mingyu being confined for 3 days, emerging battered and bruised, the bond of cousinhood had been irrevocably shattered a decade ago. In a restaurant at Xiangshan AO, Shang-Chi observed the siblings who were deliberately avoiding one another, feeling disheartened by the futility of her attempts at mediation. Their quarrel had escalated from the hotel to the restaurant, revealing to Shang-Chi numerous uncomfortable truths. It became apparent that the extraordinarily beautiful Lu Mingyu shared a profound familial bond with the siblings, as their families had been close friends for generations. Su Suyue and Lu Mingyu were the same age, while Su Wenjun was 2 years their senior. Su Wenjun had ardently pursued Lu Mingyu for a full 3 years, yet to no avail. He had first encountered her at the tender age of 14, while she was merely 12. Childhood sweethearts. This was the inaugural occasion on which Shang-Chi had been enlightened about such matters. Furthermore, she and Su Wenjun were alumni of the same university. She was now 22, and he had been 2 years her senior, having courted her during her freshman year. At this juncture, her spirits were thoroughly devastated. The trio sat in silence, their meal consumed amidst a heavy stillness. Abruptly, Su Suyue cast a glance at her phone, rose, and prepared to depart with her bag. Su Wenjun called out to her, "What do you intend to do now?" Su Suyue retorted coldly, "Mind your own business." Su Wenjun also stood, inquiring, "Is it a message from Mingyu? Show me your phone." Su Suyue hastened her pace, breaking into a run. Su Wenjun endeavored to pursue her, but at that moment, Shang-Chi seized his arm, exasperated. "Su Wenjun, if you persist in this manner, we might as well part ways. Throughout our 4 years at university, I even relocated to your city for employment. Have you ever shown me any semblance of respect?" Su Wenjun furrowed his brow, sighed, and returned to his seat. "Let's dine." Su Suyue abruptly exited the restaurant and swiftly hailed a taxi, inquiring, "Driver, can your vehicle cross the border?" The driver shook his head, replying, "No, it cannot." Su Suyue responded, Then, please take me to customs. After a brief journey, a Rolls-Royce appeared around the bend, coming to a halt across the main thoroughfare. Shortly thereafter, a procession of luxury vehicles followed, comprising a total of 9 Rolls-Royces, which executed a swift maneuver to encircle the central car. All other vehicles on the highway came to a standstill, patiently awaiting the passage of the convoy before resuming their journey. Su Suyue observed in astonishment. A fleet of all Rolls-Royces? Their maneuvering is utterly remarkable. How opulent! The taxi driver's command of Mandarin was rather inadequate as he inquired, "Is this your inaugural encounter with such a spectacle?" To which Su Suyue, with a spark of curiosity, gestured forward and asked, "Is that vehicle in the center a custom creation?" The driver, momentarily taken aback, replied, "How did you discern that?" Su Suyue responded, "I possess a deep affinity for automobiles. This particular one is neither a commercially available model nor a limited edition. It must surely be tailored." She then inquired, "What is the name of this vehicle?" The driver responded, "It is known as the Shadow of the Underworld, the sole one of its kind in existence." Su Suyue exclaimed, "What a remarkable name! To whom does it belong?" The driver raised his thumb in admiration, stating it is owned by the sovereign of Xiangshan Ao. He is often dubbed the Shark of the High Seas. Su Suyue remarked, "What a formidable title. The Shark. Does he possess a vessel upon the open waters?" The driver clarified, "Not merely a small craft, but a cruise ship. In fact, he owns several." Su Suyue, Mat Velu. Where are they bound? The driver conjectured, "Most likely to Xiangjiang." Su Suyue paused momentarily, then gradually reasoned, "The journey from Xiangshan Ao to Xiangjiang merely requires 2 hours, yet such a grand spectacle. It cannot be that all these vehicles are armored, can it? Are all 8 cars brimming with bodyguards, save for the one at the center?" The driver was taken aback. "You are quite well informed, young lady." He had not intended to engage in extensive conversation, for matters of the high seas are not to be treated lightly. Yet he found himself irresistibly drawn into the dialogue, revealing more than he had initially intended. Su Suyue, captivated, inquired, "Has there been an assassination attempt?" The driver nodded with a grin. "Many have sought to eliminate him. He is merciless in his dealings, casting aside everyone who has crossed him, leaving no stone unturned. There are also numerous individuals who owe him money aboard the cruise ships, fervently wishing to see him gone." Su Suyue raised an eyebrow. How ruthless! Is he not apprehensive about being overly audacious? The driver shook his head, exclaiming, "Such is the vigor of youth. Furthermore, he hails from an illustrious lineage, being the heir of one of Xiangjiang's most esteemed families, endowed with both influence and ample resources. The family is fragmented into 2 factions, and he navigates the murky waters, employing rather ruthless strategies." Su Suyue inquired, "What does it mean to navigate the murky waters? Surely, it does not imply any unlawful endeavors?" The driver elucidated in decades past. "It did, but the situation is not as dire now." Su Sui note that. So the cruise ships traversing the open sea are assets linked to the clandestine dealings of the Xiangjiang elite? The driver chuckled. "They are not family-owned. They are his personal ventures." Su Suyue, taken aback, asked, "What has he achieved to amass such wealth?" The driver responded, "The particulars remain ambiguous. Yet I am aware that he was raised overseas and returned to Xiangjiang at the tender age of 16. At 18, he adeptly navigated a substantial crisis within his family. Otherwise, Xiangjiang would have faced total upheaval." Su Suyue reflected, "That sounds quite legendary. Did he subsequently experience a meteoric ascent?" The driver affirmed, "Indeed. His family endowed him with considerable financial resources, and in just a few brief years, he established a formidable reputation in Xiangshan Ao. It is rumored that he saved the life of the family patriarch, thereby garnering immense favor. He now eclipses the family heir, creating discord among siblings, and exhibits a rather haughty demeanor." Su Suyue inquired further, "What is his name?" The driver shook his head. "I am unaware. The clandestine faction of the elite is enveloped in secrecy. How could individuals like us possibly know? We merely refer to him as the Shark." Su Suyue chuckled. "What of his surname? Such a family must be quite illustrious." The driver endeavored to pronounce it, Duin. Su Suyue found herself bewildered, pondering whether it was Du or perhaps Jiu. The driver scratched his head, grappling with the articulation of the name in Mandarin. At that moment, they reached their destination. Su Suyue alighted from the vehicle and hastened toward customs, no longer preoccupied with the issue. Chapter 8. Intricacies unraveled upon entering the country. Su Suyue summoned another taxi and promptly instructed, "Driver, to Yaodu." The driver appeared taken aback. "From here to Yaodu? That's quite a distance." Su Suyue replied, "Indeed. Please accelerate. Drive swiftly. I shall pay extra. 5 times the fare." The driver pressed the accelerator, exclaiming, "Let's go." Su Suyue arrived at a cemetery in Yaodu in record time. She hurried to the security guard and called out, "Excuse me, sir. Has a remarkably beautiful girl left something here?" The head of security regarded her and inquired, "What is your name?" Su Suyue responded, "Today I intend to take a life." The head of security chuckled, rising from his seat. "Ah, the code is correct. I shall fetch it for you." Shortly thereafter, he presented her with a bouquet of flowers and a passport. Su Suyue exhaled in relief. "Thank you, sir." The head of security waved his hand dismissively, stating there was no need for gratitude. Yet she did not enter. She merely left something behind and departed. Su Suyue affirmed, "Very well. I shall pay my respects at her grave." She retrieved her phone, cross-referencing the grave location sent by Lu Mingyu before proceeding. Upon locating it, Su Suyue stared at the name inscribed on the tombstone, her mouth agape in astonishment. At that moment, Lu Mingyu was being escorted to Yaodu Airport by Lu Lin. He extended his hand, demanding identification. Lu Mingyu rummaged through her travel bag and produced her ID. As Lu Lin observed this scene, a sudden realization struck him. He abruptly seized the travel bag and rifled through its contents. "Where's your passport? Or your travel permit?" he interrogated. Lu Mingyu replied, "I possess neither a passport nor a travel permit." "What are you insinuating?" Lu Lin bellowed. "Then how did you arrive at Xiangshan Island?" "Do you take me for a fool, Lu Mingyu?" Lu Mingyu could hardly contain her mirth, affirming, "Indeed, Brother Lin." Lu Lin's chest swelled with indignation as he glared at her, demanding, "Where have you been for the past 3 months? It cannot merely be a travel permit. You utilized a passport. Where is it? Speak." It was evident that during their journey, she had intentionally provoked him, rousing his memories and emotions to such an extent that he became irrational, neglecting the possibility of searching the travel bag. She had even strategically placed the travel bag in the trunk. Now, with time having elapsed, a return to search was no longer feasible. This cousin was exceedingly astute, always plotting several moves ahead, undoubtedly ensuring an avenue of escape for herself. He could never outwit her. In the entire Lu family, only his father, Lu Qiuyang, possessed the ability to keep her in check. Lu Lin simmered with frustration. Yet, Lu Mingyu regarded him with a radiant smile, as if observing a mere jester. Ultimately, Lu Lin's voice emerged through gritted teeth. "You shall never behold grandmother again." Lu Mingyu's smile evaporated, her gaze becoming sharp as she retorted, "And you shall eternally be bereft of ordinary familial affection and parental love." Lu Lin closed his eyes, reopening them filled with unrestrained animosity. "You have shattered my family." Lu Mingyu met his gaze with a chilling intensity. "You have compelled my hand." That evening, Lu Mingyu returned to the Lu residence in Shizi City. The door leading to the backyard remained securely locked, fastened with several bolts. She was unable to enter, nor could her grandmother emerge. The clock struck 9 in the evening. In the secluded chamber of the courtyard lay Lu Qian. Her grandmother, Tao Yalan, advanced in age and afflicted by dementia, sat in a rocking chair, her eyes fixated on the moon illuminating the night sky. Lu Qian endeavored to entertain her, yet received no response. "Grandmother, please divert your gaze from the ginkgo tree and look at your granddaughter," Lu Qian implored. Tao Yalan snapped back to the present. "Granddaughter?" Leaning against her grandmother's knee, Lu Qian confessed, "I have divorced. Our marriage lasted merely 6 months, and my heart is shattered. Might you bestow upon me a piece of jewelry for solace?" Tao Yalan gently pushed her head away, exclaiming, "You foolish girl, do not deceive me with falsehoods and make unreasonable demands. I do not recognize you." Lu Qian expressed her discontent as she protested. "Grandmother, I am your granddaughter, Lu Qian. Tao Yalan furrowed her brow in response. You are not my granddaughter. My granddaughter is Xiao Yi. Anger ignited within Lu Qian as she rose, chastising. You are truly losing your senses. There is no one in this household named Xiao Yi. Tears welled in Tao Yalan's eyes as she retorted, You speak utter nonsense. My granddaughter's name is Xiao Yi. Lu Qian's countenance darkened. All you ever utter is Xiao Yi. With a forceful shove, she pushed the elderly woman aside and stormed out. Navigating the corridor. There, she encountered Lu Mingyu, who stood at the entrance. Raising an eyebrow, she paused at the glass door and inquired, Do you wish to see grandmother? Lu Mingyu gazed up at her, affirmatively responding. Lu Qian, with her arms crossed, retorted, Then plead with me. Lu Mingyu implored, I beseech you, dear sister, allow me to see grandmother. Lu Qian scoffed, Kneel and beg me. Lu Mingyu chuckled. I heard you have been divorced? Your former husband has been entertaining a multitude of others. In an instant, Lu Qian's pride dissipated, and she exclaimed, Lu Mingyu, you despicable wretch. Lu Mingyu countered. Why the anger? Were you not aware of this prior to your marriage? The Lu family insisted on intertwining with the Qin family. And now he has grown weary of you, and seeks a divorce. I wager many are mocking your plight. Lu Qian's eyes widened in indignation, trembling with fury. You. Lu Mingyu. In a fit of rage, she brandished her keys, unlocking the door. Just as she turned the final key with a swift motion, Lu Mingyu abruptly dashed inside, wrenching the locks open and casting them into the nearby basin. Lu Qian stood there, utterly astonished. But before she could respond, Lu Mingyu had already dashed to the rear house and commenced knocking on the door. Her eyes shone with an incandescent brilliance, more radiant than the moonlight. Grandmother, open the door. Xiao Yi has come to visit you. Creak. The door swung open from within. Tao Yalan extended her hand. Xiao Yi, her face, etched with wrinkles, radiated joy, and although her stance was unsteady, she eagerly reached out. Lu Mingyu enveloped her in an embrace. Grandmother. Lu Qian rushed over, her complexion pale. Lu Mingyu glanced back, guiding Tao Yalan inside and promptly securing the door. Click! She locked it firmly. Lu Qian gasped in disbelief. She began to pound on the door, creating a commotion and hurling insults. Lu Mingyu disregarded her, assisting her grandmother into the inner room, where she laid her down gently and covered her with a blanket. Tao Yalan gazed at her and smiled affectionately. Xiao Yi, how are your parents in Yaodu? Her dementia was profound. She could neither recall events nor recognize individuals. A decade's worth of memories had been selectively erased from her mind. The sole remnant was the cherished recollection of her granddaughter, Lu Mingyu. Lu Mingyu nodded with a gentle smile, reassuring her, All is well. I am engrossed in work and unable to visit you. Tao Yalan tenderly patted her hand, responding, It suffices that Xiao Yi comes to see me. Lu Mingyu clasped her grandmother's somewhat chilly hand, saying, Grandma, please ensure you dress warmly. Tao Yalan retorted, I'm not cold. I still yearn to ride horses with Xiao Yi, feed lions and tigers at the zoo, and relish roller coasters at the amusement park. Lu Mingyu chuckled softly. Grandma, I was quite the rascal back then, unaware of the implications of our wild escapades. Such pursuits are no longer suitable for you. Tao Yalan frowned, insisting, I can still partake. You must take me along whenever you venture out. Lu Mingyu replied with a warm smile. Indeed. I assure you I shall do so next time. The elderly woman, her vitality diminished by frailty, soon succumbed to slumber following their conversation. Lu Mingyu then procured a heavier blanket to envelop her. Subsequently, she exited the inner chamber and patiently awaited in the living area. Chapter 9. The mobile phone before long. A voice resonated from the doorway. Lu Mingyu. Come fort. Lu Mingyu leisurely opened the door and stepped outside. Du Wenxin instinctively raised her hand, poised to strike. However, Lu Mingyu cast a glance behind her. Du Wenxin furrowed her brow and turned around. There stood Lu Qiuyang, with Lu Lin positioned behind him. Du Wenxin withdrew her hand, asserting, Lu Mingyu has intruded without permission. She requires a lesson. Lu Qiuyang raised his hand, pointing at Lu Mingyu's bruised visage. Who did this? Lu Mingyu met Lu Lin's gaze. In an explosive moment, a forceful slap echoed as Lu Qiuyang's hand connected with Lu Lin's face. Lu Lin stumbled back a few steps, his head tilting at an awkward angle, blood immediately seeping from the corner of his mouth. Lu Qian gasped, covering her mouth in astonishment. Du Wong Sang erupted, shooting, Lu Qian. How dare you strike my son? The backyard erupted in chaos. Lu Mingyu, undeterred, gracefully maneuvered past the four individuals, walking directly beneath her uncle's gaze. She retreated to the dimly lit sanctuary of the third-floor room. In the stillness of the night, a knock resonated upon her door, followed by the turning of the key. Lu Lin entered without a moment's hesitation. The earlier knocks had not been a request for permission, but rather a mere formality. Lu Mingyu sat at her desk, regarding him with an icy demeanor. Lu Lin sighed and inquired, "You will never forgive me, will you?" Lu Mingyu offered an enigmatic smile. "Which incident do you refer to?" Lu Lin responded, "The affair from a decade ago when you were confined." Lu Mingyu questioned, "Why should I grant you forgiveness?" Lu Lin furrowed his brow. After uncovering the truth, father has already punished Lu Qian. Prior to this, she had never faced such punishment. A glimmer of coldness flickered in Lu Mingyu's eyes. So, before this, did I not endure punishment? Was I never confined? Lu Lin found herself at a loss for words. Lu Mingyu's tone sharpened with intensity. Did my parents truly confine me in a windowless, lightless storage room, restrain me with handcuffs, and strike me with a rattan for an entire 3 days? The turmoil within Lu Lin was palpable. Lu Mingyu pressed on with relentless fervor. Where on my body was I not struck? My dear brother? Lu Lin cast her gaze downward, confessing, "It is my fault. I failed to conduct a thorough investigation." Lu Mingyu responded curtly, "It is too late for that." With resolve, Lu Lin lifted her head. "Must you insist on escalating matters to this extent? We are siblings. Lu Qian is your sister. We share a blood bond." Lu Mingyu retorted, "Then you two should be subjected to 3 days of confinement, whipped with a rattan, and have salt rubbed into your wounds." Lu Lin's brow furrowed with dismay. "How can you be so cruel?" Lu Mingyu let out a light chuckle. "You seem to be living as if you are a mere jest, Lu Lin." "Mingyu, do not address me in such a manner." Lu Lin advanced, endeavoring to seize her hand. Lu Mingyu abruptly raised her gaze, stating that their uncle's study resided on the 3rd floor. Should she call out, assistance would surely arrive. "If he were to uncover the fact that you had pilfered the key to gain entry into my chamber, do you believe you could elude confinement?" In that instant, Lu Lin's pupils dilated in alarm. Lu Mingyu commanded, "Return my phone." Lu Lin, tinged with regret, responded, "I entrusted it to my mother." Lu Mingyu persisted, "Go and retrieve it." Lu Lin furrowed her brow, expressing, "It poses a challenge. She wishes to unlock it and scrutinize your information." Lu Mingyu articulated each word with precision. "Go bring it back." Lu Lin objected. "Mingyu, you." Lu Mingyu began to speak, gently uttering, "Ah." Lu Lin interjected, "I comprehend. I shall bring it to you tomorrow. I vow." He exited the room and closed the door. Lu Mingyu wearily lowered her head, releasing a profound sigh. How utterly exhausting. The following morning, Lu Mingyu was summoned to the study by Lu Qiuyang. This time, he graciously offered her a seat, permitting her to sit rather than stand. Lu Mingyu remained silent, uttering not a single word. Lu Qiuyang observed her intently before producing several photographs, which he handed to her. When Lu Mingyu glanced up, her eyes widened in astonishment. It was a photograph of their grandmother, frail and ensconced in a hospital bed, surrounded by tubes. Lu Mingyu's fists clenched tightly, her fingertips paling in response. Lu Qiuyang's voice retained a gentle cadence as he inquired, "I sent you a message. Did you not see it?" Throughout those 3 months, he had employed every conceivable means to reach her, yet she appeared blissfully unaware of these circumstances. Perhaps, in her inability to contend, she had simply chosen to block the messages, her mind remaining undisturbed. Lu Qiuyang narrowed his eyes, toying with a string of olive pits. "Mingyu, you must conduct yourself appropriately. Your grandmother's health is waning, and she could be admitted to the ICU at any moment." Lu Mingyu gazed at him in disbelief. "She is your biological mother. Have you lost your senses?" Lu Qiuyang's demeanor remained unperturbed. "I do not grasp your words. My mother is unwell. Naturally, she necessitates medical attention and proper care." A shiver of dread coursed through Lu Mingyu, Yet Lu Qiuyang maintained a gentle tone. Look at you, behaving recklessly and fleeing from home. Your grandmother is in such a condition, and you do not even contemplate returning. Lu Mingyu suppressed her trembling form, rendered speechless. Lu Qiuyang continued. It appears I have granted you too much freedom in the past. Lu Mingyu inhaled deeply, lowering her gaze. Lu Qiuyang smiled now. Be a good girl and recite the lessons for women for me. At noon, Lu Mingyu chose not to descend for lunch. The butler arranged for a meal to be delivered to her chamber. Lu Qiuyang was typically absent during the day, currently preoccupied with affairs of the company. At the elongated dining table of the Lu family sat Du Wenxin, Lu Qian, and Lu Lin. Lu Lin dined in silence, while the mother and daughter engaged in conversation. Lu Qian exclaimed, Mother! She chose to leave, yet father insists on bringing her back. It was uncle who decided to depart, so she should not bear the Lu surname. Grandfather and grandmother show her favoritism. It truly vexes me. Du Wenxin articulated her dissatisfaction. Since your divorce, your temperament has deteriorated. She continued, You must refrain from speaking in such a manner. What might outsiders think of our family? Lu Qian retorted, There are no outsiders present. Du won't s'en commander. Prepare new garments for Lu Mingyu. Lu Qian, taken aback, raised her head in astonishment. Mother? What do you mean? Du Wenxin responded, Once her visage has recovered, take her out to experience the world and assist her in securing a suitable match from a distinguished family. Post-haste. Lu Qian exclaimed, My own marriage has ended in failure. Why must I facilitate hers? Du Wenxin nodded. She must seek a partner from a lineage more prestigious than ours, someone who wields influence. Lu Qian lamented, Mother, have you lost your senses? It was uncle who brought disgrace upon the Lu family, rendering us a laughingstock in Shizi City. How can she possibly utilize the Lu name for a matrimonial alliance? Du Wenxin gently caressed Lu Qian's hand, urging her to be compliant. How could I ever bring you harm? Lu Qian, still filled with resentment, retorted, I refuse to acknowledge her as a member of the Lu family. Have you forgotten her arrogance when she first arrived at the tender age of 12? Du Wenxin attempted to placate her. I do not implore you to seek a suitable husband for her. I would rather she would a beggar. The crux of the matter lies in her influence, which must eclipse that of the Lu family, sufficient to overshadow your father. Do you comprehend? It was evident that she was cognizant of the circumstances. Following Lu Mingyu's departure, Lu Qiuyang had been engulfed in anxiety. Du Wenxin could no longer withstand the situation. Lu Qian, momentarily taken aback, listened as Du Wenxin whispered, Keep these matters to yourself. Do not disclose them to Lu Mingyu or your father. Lu Qian nodded with fervor. Chapter 10. Silence in response to messages at that moment. Lu Lin rose and declared, I have finished my meal. You may proceed. He then ascended the staircase. Du Wenxin found his behavior peculiar and inquired, Lu Lin, are you not heading to the office? Lu Lin paused momentarily and replied, With my current state, how could I possibly venture outside? Du Wenxin regarded her son with concern and asserted, I shall ensure you exact your revenge upon her. She then resumed her quiet discourse with her daughter. Lu Lin offered no further remarks. Upon reaching the second floor, he turned and entered Du Wenxin's dressing room, commencing his search for his phone. However, he found nothing. Just as he was about to continue his search in Du Wenxin's chamber, he overheard the mother and daughter conversing on the staircase as they entered a room together. Lu Lin proceeded to the third floor and knocked on the door. Lacking a key, he could not gain immediate access. The door swung open from within, and Lu Mingyu, upon seeing him, inquired, Have you located the phone? Lu Lin responded, Not yet. Please hold on for a moment. It should be in my mother's room. Lu Mingyu observed him in silence. Lu Lin continued, I cannot enter. My mother and sister are inside, engaged in a private conversation. Lu Mingyu inquired, What are they discussing? Lu Lin replied, They are lamenting how father struck me. They are quite distressed. Lu Mingyu remarked with a playful tone, It is remarkable that they are not speaking of me. Lu Lin furrowed his brows and retorted, Do you genuinely suspect this? Are you already devising ways to torment me once more, given that your actions precipitated my punishment? He chose not to mention other matters. Among his biological mother, sister, and cousin, his preference was unequivocally for the former. In an opulent hillside residence in Xiangshan, Duan Xiaoming gazed at the dialogue box on his phone. No responses? It had not merely been an hour or two, but an entire day, over 24 hours. After some reflection, he dispatched another message and continued to await a response. By the afternoon, she still had not replied. Very well, she possesses no heart. Duan Xiaoming swiftly booked the quickest flight available. A few hours later, he arrived at Shizi City Airport. Zhang Xiang pulled up in an exceptionally stylish Lamborghini, its hue a captivating shade of deep night green. Brother Ming, weren't you meant to remain in Xiangjiang for a few days? What accounts for this sudden arrival? By the way, how do you find my car? He inquired. Duan Xiaoming retorted. Have you located the individual? To which family does the girl belong? He was beginning to doubt whether she was even from Shizi City. Zhang Xiang sighed in exasperation. Brother, Shizi City encompasses a vast expanse of 16,000 square kilometers with a populace exceeding 10 million. Duan Xiaoming replied. Are you not quite capable? What appears to be the issue? Zhang Xiang experienced a chilling sensation coursing down his spine. Lacking a photograph or a name, he lamented, This is the mainland, not a land of liberty. Some matters are insurmountable, and I am expected to search through a haystack? Brother Ming, have mercy. My life hangs in the balance as well. Duan Xiaoming simply replied, Why? Zhang Xiang responded, Huh? Duan Xiaoming elucidated. That should be the pinyin for a sound within her name. Zhang Xiang was rendered speechless. The task ahead was formidable. Desperate measures were essential. The following day, Lu Lin rapped gently on Lu Mingyu's door at the same hour. She had remained indoors for 2 consecutive days, awaiting the delivery of sustenance. Upon the door's opening, she promptly extended her hand and uttered 2 words, phone. Lu Lin felt a wave of irritation wash over her. Could he not display a more amiable demeanor? Lu Mingyu regarded him with a frosty demeanor. Lu Lin mirrored her indifference, stating that the phone had fallen into the clutches of black market dealers and could not be retrieved. Lu Mingyu retorted, Then you might as well perish. Lu Lin, gritting his teeth, warned, Maintain this attitude, and father will compel you to transcribe the female precepts 100 times. Clearly, after 3 months apart, your arrogance has resurfaced. Lu Mingyu replied, It is innate, a mark of rebellion. Lu Lin scoffed, Yet you dare to employ dual systems? What mischief have you been orchestrating with your alternate account? A smirk danced upon Lu Mingyu's lips as she remarked, The self-destruct feature on the phone is remarkably effective. Indeed, they had the audacity to investigate but uncovered nothing, ultimately leading to the destruction of the device. His cousin merely engaged in a futile tug-of-war with her. It was all a mere facade. Lu Lin recognized that his words had betrayed him and fixed her with a frigid glare, exclaiming, Lu Mingyu, you are truly wicked to the core. Lu Mingyu reiterated, You all compel me into this. At that moment, within an apartment in Shizi City, Duan Xiaoming was deeply engrossed in tossing darts. 2 days had elapsed, yet she had neither responded to his messages nor acknowledged the voice notes he had sent. It was as though she had completely vanished from the earth. Zhang Xiang entered and remarked, Minggu, I encountered an individual named Yisong. I managed to glean some information. He indicated that at that wedding, everyone was singing from the same hymn sheet, and those with inquiries remained silent. Duan Xiaoming looked up. Was it deliberate? 3 months prior, they had already inquired about that wedding, where the couple originated from 2 illustrious families in Shizi City. She had been among the bridesmaids then and had naturally posed questions regarding the bride's side. The response had been one of unfamiliarity, asserting that they were merely hired actors. Now, however, it appeared to lead back to that family. Zhang Xiang reclined against the doorframe, nodding in affirmation. I have unraveled the mystery behind this. Duan Xiaoming arched an eyebrow, inquiring, were there numerous inquiries? Zhang Xiang's eyes widened in disbelief as he began to applaud. Remarkable. Brother, you have surmised correctly. Following that wedding, the unwed heirs from esteemed families have been probing into matters. Duan Xiaoming let out a derisive snort. Huh, everyone is indeed probing. So many striving for attention? Zhang Xiang merely shrugged. Yet, none have succeeded in acquiring any information. The consistency of their responses is rather intriguing. It is as though they are purposefully concealing something, perhaps an illegitimate offspring. Duan Xiaoming responded, She does not bear the characteristics of a love child. The rebellious spirit she showcased while sketching skulls does not indicate that she is an adopted daughter either. She embodies neither of those identities, nor does she present herself as a debutante hailing from an esteemed lineage. Duan Xiaoming found himself equally bewildered by the circumstances. Zhang Xiang interjected, "Then she must surely be a descendant of a noble family. I have acquired a roster of noble families from Shizi City, which encompasses all the key figures." Duan Xiaoming perused the list briefly before casting it aside onto the table. She does not hold a position at the main table. Zhang Xiang grimaced. It is even more arduous to identify secondary figures, particularly in the absence of specific names. The numbers are overwhelming. Duan Xiaoming's demeanor remained impassive, his emotions inscrutable. Zhang Xiang proposed, "Brother, should I resort to more drastic measures? Yet, who will bear the consequences? We cannot afford to reveal ourselves during such a pivotal time." Duan Xiaoming remained silent, his agitation palpable. Zhang Xiang blinked and inquired, "In a few days, there's to be a private gathering at the Forest Lounge, where numerous individuals will be present. Perhaps we could extract some information. Shall we attend?" Duan Xiaoming swiftly threw a dart, striking the bullseye with remarkable precision. "Let's go," he replied. Zhang Xiang glanced at the dart and remarked, "Brother, you are quite formidable. How much does she owe you? 9 figures? This debt collection appears urgent." Duan Xiaoming frowned. "Who informed you that she owes me money?" Zhang Xiang was taken aback. "Then why go to such lengths to locate her?" Duan Xiaoming responded, "To pursue her." Zhang Xiang was left stunned. In the study of the elder uncle, an additional table had materialized. Lu Mingyu was diligently transcribing texts, revisiting them with unwavering commitment. Lu Qiuyang sat behind his desk, meticulously polishing an olive pit, his gold-rimmed glasses glinting. He refrained from any other pursuits, merely observing her as she wrote. After transcribing thrice, Lu Mingyu finally set down her pen. Lu Qiuyang regarded her with gentle elegance. "My dear, it is prudent to retire early." Lu Mingyu stifled her nausea and confidently strode toward the study door. Lu Qiuyang called after her, "Etiquette, have you forgotten once more?" Lu Mingyu inhaled deeply, slowed her pace, and approached the door. "Xiaoyi," a deep male voice summoned her from behind. With a resounding bang, Lu Mingyu slammed the door shut. Chapter 11. A well-behaved girl. 3 days later, at 8 in the evening, a lounge commenced its daily operations. Nestled deep within the tranquil and secluded West Lake City wetland forest. Having opened merely a few months prior, this lounge has already garnered a reputation, boasting an extraordinary rating and popularity. However, it remains largely inaccessible to the public, frequently reserved for private events by a group of affluent scions from Westlake City, who have transformed it into their exclusive gathering haven. The interior of the lounge is a veritable labyrinth, seamlessly weaving through parts of the surrounding forest. With outdoor rattan chairs thoughtfully arranged at intervals and a serene water feature enhancing the ambience. Chapter 12. Observation. Dear Mingyu found herself amidst a crowd, accompanied by Dear Qian. They belonged to the same social circle, and many were curiously intrigued by the second young lady of the Dear family, whom they had either just encountered or heard of for the first time. Questions flowed in abundance, overwhelming Dear Mingyu. Dear Qian leaned in close and whispered, "Be good. Do not forget your current identity. Bringing shame to the Dear family will provoke Father's ire, and Mother will be furious." Dear Mingyu smiled and retorted, "You're the least clever among the Dear family. Perhaps you should speak less." Dear Qian fumed. "You." Chapter 13. Testing. Dear Mingyu cast a sidelong glance at him, while Duan Xiaoming offered her no attention, fixated on the front. The well-behaved girl, raised in the Dear household, sounded rather delightful beneath him, he remarked. Dear Mingyu retorted, "Look me in the eye and say that." Duan Xiaoming cast her a glance, then averted his eyes, lips pressed together in silence. Yet, Dear Mingyu continued to gaze at him intently, having been probing him since taking her seat. Suddenly, she declared, "Your muffled sounds are more captivating than mine." Duan Xiaoming responded with a bewildered expression. Dear Mingyu persisted. Chapter 14. Astonishing maneuvers. As Dear Mingyu stepped outside, she glanced at Yisong, softly inquiring, "Which young master of the He family is that?" Yisong trembled in fear, too intimidated to respond, lowering his head instead. Once she had passed, he exclaimed in terror. Jean, brother Jean. Jean Xiang chuckled. Indeed, I am present. He Song gestured towards the retreating figure of dear Mingyu. Was that just now? Jean Xiang responded, harboring resentment. He Song, drenched in perspiration, exclaimed, Will she take my life? As in, dismember me? Chapter 15. Thread O, right? He Song quickly interjected. Allow me to introduce. This is Brother Jean, Jean Xiang, the proprietor of the lounge. Su Siwei inquired. You are the proprietor? Jean Xiang smiled warmly at her. Indeed, dear sister. Su Wenjun appeared astonished. The wetland, situated in the heart of the city, was remarkably well preserved. As far as he was aware, acquiring land for commercial purposes in this area was exceedingly arduous. What is Jean Xiang's background? Dear Qian then asked, So, you are the one who established this lounge? That magnificent vehicle outside is also yours? Each time they arrived, an imposing luxury vehicle graced the entrance. Chapter 16. Employing a blade for assassination Virum. The dark green supercar thundered down the thoroughfare, emerging from the wetland forest. Duan Xiaoming, while at the wheel, inquired, Do you dare to ride without first ascertaining whether I have been imbibing? Dear Mingyu responded, I have sent you the location. Duan Xiaoming arched an eyebrow, piqued by curiosity. Was she assured of his sobriety, or merely unperturbed? The sinister luminescence of the dark green car dashed through the urban landscape, reflecting Duan Xiaoming's turbulent emotions. He had initially struggled to comprehend Jean Xiang's fervor for maneuvering supercars through the city, devoid of the capacity to soar or compete. Chapter 17. The sinister elegance of left-handed script Lugia. Half an hour later, a discordant symphony of disputes erupted in the foyer. Lu Qian received a phone call that beckoned her return. Meanwhile, Lu Mingyu lingered in her modest chamber on the third floor until the furious sound of knocking reverberated through the air. Come out, Lu Mingyu, Du Wenxin shouted. Lu Mingyu pretended to be deaf. After incessantly pounding on the door, Du Wenxin procured a key and unlocked it. You must come out. The aunt lunged with fervor towards her, but Lu Mingyu was abruptly pulled away. Chapter 18. Exceptional talent. Lu Qian gazed at the papers scattered across the floor, her expression twisting with each graceful flourish of the cursive writing. 12 years ago, when her grandfather still drew breath, a magnificent birthday celebration was orchestrated. At the tender age of 10, Lu Mingyu had been brought to Shizi City by her parents. This occasion marked her uncle's first return to the Lu family since his departure, accompanied by his wife and daughter. The banquet was lavish, attended by numerous distinguished guests. Lu Mingyu crafted a birthday greeting for her grandfather, and the elderly attendees regarded it as a precious gem, showering her with accolades. Cursive. Exuberant cursive. Chapter 19. Cantonese cuisine. The following morning, Lu Mingyu was conveyed in the Lu family automobile to the hospital, guided by the butler, Wang Qi, to register and await her injury examination. Lu Qian was accompanied by Du Wenxin to a prestigious hospital in Shaoshan, celebrated for its exceptional service and treatment, boasting a multitude of experts. Over the past decade, the contrast in their living standards had been striking. Du Wenxin hailed from a distinguished lineage, and the Du family had historically intermarried with the Lu family. Naturally, she was reluctant for her daughter to face any adversity. Uncle Lu Qiuyang remained apathetic to such trivialities, displaying a marked sense of male chauvinism. Chapter 20. The intriguing phone exchange after parking the vehicle. Jean Xiang had yet to unfasten the door when he observed a scene not far away. Minga, he called out, seated in the passenger seat. Duan Xiaoming did not raise his gaze. What? Jean Xiang chose his words with great care. Just do not allow anger to arise shortly. Why would I feel anger? Duan Xiaoming responded, perplexed, stealing a glance at him. This glance turned out to be serendipitous, for he caught sight of an outdoor dining table and nearby restaurant through the car window. Goodness, a man and a woman were seated across from one another at the table. Chapter 21. Male classmates and female classmates. At the dining table, Xiang Yi finally emerged from her astonishment, casting a glance at Lu Mingyu, who was leisurely savoring her meal, and then at the phone resting on the table. Are you still eating? She stammered. Lu Mingyu lifted her gaze. Did I not come here to dine? Xiang Yi nodded. You maintain an extraordinary composure. Were it I would be quite unsettled. Bai Wentao inhaled deeply and inquired Lu Mingyu, who was that individual just now. His exceptional qualities evoked a sense of inadequacy in others. Chapter 22. A curious individual. As their conversation unfolded, the vehicle gracefully glided into the parking lot of an opulent apartment complex, which offered a panoramic view of a tranquil lake. Du In 11M Ing parked the car, circled around to open the door for her, and gently supported her arms as he assisted her in alighting. "Your right hand?" he inquired. M. Ing nodded. "How did you discern that?" Du In 11M Ing responded, "I have been familiar with such matters since my early years." He guided her into the elevator and pressed a button for their designated floor. Inside the elevator, it was merely the two of them, enveloped in an atmosphere of tranquility as they ascended. Suddenly, Du In 11M Ing appeared to have an epiphany and cast a glance at the individual beside him. Chapter 23. Bad cards, aces, or a bomb? M. Ing rose, retrieved her medication and phone, and made her way to the door. Du In Xiam Ing hummed behind her, expressing his discontent. "Ungrateful, you hold no trust in me." "Indeed, I am a heartless wolf," M. Ing retorted, adding, "No need to escort me all the way to my doorstep. The roadside will suffice." Du In Xiam Ing contemplated for a brief moment before inquiring, "Is it loud?" M. Ing nodded in affirmation. Du In Xiam Ing then turned to procure another car key, stating, "I shall switch cars for you. The dark green one has been modified by Zich In Xiang, hence its noise." M. Ing cast a glance at the key in his hand, identifying it as a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Chapter 24. Do you wish to marry? "I shall marry you," Chi In pursued relentlessly, striking without hesitation. M. Ing's palm was slick with perspiration, and as her adversary raised her hand, she deftly evaded to the side. Smack! Crash! The purple clay teapot upon the tea table was abruptly overturned, shattering into an array of countless fragments. The olive pits and various trinkets amassed by her uncle scattered across the floor. Chi In stood frozen, utterly astounded. Had she truly just shattered an item of immense value with a mere belt? LMNG exclaimed, "Stevart Vengue. Come here." Chapter 25. Setting the scene, Du In Xiam Ing escorted M. Ing to a rice porridge hot pot restaurant, evoking the flavors she cherished from her childhood, a taste she had not indulged in for many years. To her astonishment, this hot pot had recently opened in Zizishang. Du In Xiam Ing reserved a private room, took her hand, and guided her inside to be seated. M. Ing observed their intertwined hands, her gaze lowered, ensnared in contemplation. He, too, was captivated by their hands, his fingertips tenderly caressing her own. "Your hands are so delicate. How do you wield a paintbrush?" he inquired, to which M. Ing replied, "It is not as if I am wielding a firearm." Chapter 26. The wolf is approaching in the late hours of the night. The L residence was teeming with activity. DWNX, N, and N hastened back, accompanied by the Su siblings, who were intimately familiar with the L family. Chi Li Ing sat pensively behind the tea table, his brow furrowed as he observed Chi In creating a ruckus. M. Ing remained quietly off to the side. Chi In's voice rang out defiantly, "I am not fabricating this. I witnessed it. M. Ing was in the vehicle with a man, exchanging kisses, and who knows what else." Su shot back vehemently, "You're spouting nonsense. Either check your intellect or your vision." She belonged to the Su family. Chapter 27. Exalted accolades. M. Ing retreated to her chamber and secured the door. Even from the third floor, she could still faintly hear Chi In's cries, her voice laden with despair, which eventually devolved into incoherent ramblings, as if driven to madness. "Shout all you wish, it is in vain. The ink on that tissue will soon dry, leaving no trace behind." M. Ing was not acting out of impulse. Her actions were deliberate, a manifestation of mental suppression, driving someone to the brink of madness. In the warehouse, Chi In's voice grew hoarse from her cries. Clad in noise-canceling headphones, Lu Mingyu opened her phone to check her messages. Chapter 28. "I adore the you." Within the following day, Lu Qian was released. Yet she appeared to have genuinely lost her sanity. In the ensuing 2 days, her mental state remained precarious. She would abruptly awaken in the dead of night, racing through the house in a frenzied outcry. It was disconcerting. Du Wenxin, anxious for her daughter, returned from her family home to accompany Lu Qian for psychological treatment. Lu Lin, however, seemed to have relegated this matter to the background, preoccupied with enigmatic pursuits, departing early and returning late each day. Lu Qiuyang remained unchanged, apathetic to the chaos. 2 days later, Chapter 29, One Person, Two Choices at 9 o'clock in the evening, upon returning home. Lu Mingyu encountered Du Wenxin in the hallway, just as she was about to depart. "Aunt," she greeted. Du Wenxin paused, scrutinizing her with a cold smirk. "You are truly malicious. With but a few words, you have plunged the household into disarray. Surely, you must take pleasure in seeing Lu Qian confined, do you not?" Lu Mingyu responded, "I was nearly inclined to set off fireworks." Du Wenxin retorted, "You insufferable girl. My daughter did not speak falsely, did she? It is you who has orchestrated her confinement." Lu Mingyu countered, "I did not confine her. It was the uncle." Chapter 30. A collision. He Song remained mute, feeling overawed by Lu Mingyu's presence. Zhan Xiang gazed in astonishment as Lu Mingyu approached and took a seat nearby. Su Siyue settled beside Lu Mingyu, and shortly thereafter, four newly debuted male models entered, taking seats adjacent to the two women. Fortunately, the private room was sufficiently spacious that they need not vie for space. Otherwise, Zhan Xiang feared he might meet his end today. Lu Mingyu perceived Zhan Xiang's gaze and warmly acknowledged him with a greeting. Zhan Xiang's lips quivered slightly as he quietly remarked, "Miss Lu, Chapter 31. Let him see the clash of opulent automobiles, intertwined with betrayal, became sensational news, prompting the onlookers to linger long after the incident had transpired. Du Wenxin was nearly driven to the brink of madness. Her hastily donned attire captured her in one of the most humiliating moments of her existence. Messages within the prominent family groups surged to over 99 that evening. The scandal surrounding the Lu family erupted overnight. The irrefutable evidence of Lu Qiuyang's treachery was circulating, with numerous rival families disseminating videos and images, mercilessly ridiculing them. Lu Lin, who had been away, hurried back upon witnessing the news, utterly devastated. Chapter 32. Come out and date your husband in the aftermath. A business vehicle arrived. Zhan Xiang promptly opened the rear door and took his seat. Indeed, Minggu reclined comfortably in the back, his spirits evidently buoyant. The driver commenced the journey, and within the vehicle, Duan Xiaoming wore a broad smile, while Zhan Xiang hesitated to speak. Ultimately, Zhan Xiang broke the silence. "Brother, you are still smiling? You must not lose your temper recklessly. Are you aware of who was in the car you collided with?" Duan Xiaoming cast him a sidelong glance. "Why should I be concerned?" Chapter 33. The backyard. Lu Mingyu swiftly concealed her phone. Moments later, the door lock clicked open from the outside, revealing the butler, Wang Qi, standing there with a slightly bowed head, exuding an air of respect. Yet, only his posture reflected this deference. Lu Mingyu rose and exited the room. The butler guided her to the tea room in the grand hall on the first floor, which had been lavishly redecorated and furnished with a larger, more exquisite tea table. Upon arriving before Lu Qiuyang, Lu Mingyu found herself alone with him, as the butler discreetly withdrew. Chapter 34. Aiming, may I borrow some money? Lu Mingyu was led to the warehouse in the side courtyard, a space devoid of windows, oppressive, damp, and dimly lit. The butler functioned like a machine, stripped of any semblance of personal emotion. Clank! The metallic clatter of chains reverberated as they fastened her wrists and ankles. Creak! The butler discreetly opened the door and emerged. Bang! The warehouse door crashed shut, the resounding noise of it being secured from the outside soon following. What followed was an extended silence, an overwhelming solitude. Although the day had not yet succumbed to darkness, the interior was shrouded in a stifling gloom, permeated by a musty scent. Chapter 35. Hong Kong news. After completing her porridge, Lu Mingyu patiently awaited her employer's conclusion of the tidying process before securing the door. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, then leisurely perused the news, in search of any noteworthy occurrences. Yet, nothing of significance caught her eye. The cosmos had not met its demise, nor had the Earth succumbed to an explosion. Subsequently, she accessed the external network to delve into the latest happenings in Hong Kong. This time, the updates proved to be far more exhilarating. A multitude of significant events had transpired within the span of a mere week. Suspected major crisis event. The Duan family's internal conflicts escalate. Duan's restructuring looms. Hong Kong faces a new storm. Chapter 36. I delight in hearing more grievances. Lu Mingyu secured the door once more and organized the scattered papers strewn across the floor. She then retrieved her phone and sent a message to Su Suya. Lu Mingyu, drawing paper, brushes, paints, stone mines, ink. Additionally, glue, boards, frames, and all materials pertinent to artistry. Su Shui. Lu Mingyu. There exists a project associated with the art exhibition that eludes my complete understanding. I am not particularly astute in matters of business. It appears to involve a collaboration with the Art Association, encompassing everything from expansive exhibition venues to smaller educational institutions. A monopoly, perhaps. Su Suya. Is that in the group? Chapter 37. The project was stolen. Lu Qiuyang instinctively cast a glance at the book beside him, only to realize he had yet to even lift it. It was Lu Mingyu. She was intentionally provoking him. Indeed, he found himself on the precipice of losing his composure. Each layer of her taunts heightened his fury to its zenith, his psychological defenses crumbling progressively, teetering on the brink of collapse. The darkness in Lu Qiuyang's gaze could no longer be concealed. What a razor-sharp tongue. At that moment, his phone vibrated. Lu Mingyu smiled. Su Xia has arrived to collect me. It would be rather discourteous to keep the jewel of the Su family in waiting. Chapter 38. Afraid of your embarrassment before the artwork, Su Xia was enveloped in a contemplative silence, her thoughts poised on the edge of articulation, yet unvoiced. In stark contrast, Lu Mingyu radiated vitality and nonchalance, even pausing to admire the painting after the call had concluded. Su Xia let out a sigh and inquired, Xiao Yi, are you aware of what occupies my mind? Lu Mingyu tilted her head in curiosity and responded, What? With a mixture of emotions, Su Xia articulated, I envision a day when you stand at the helm of the Art Association's podium. Lu Mingyu reflected on this idea. Su Xia, slightly vexed, stated, Chapter 39. Getting straight to the point, at 8 o'clock in the evening, Su Wenjun gently pushed open the door to a private room within an upscale tea house. Somewhat taken aback as he inquired, Lu Lin, what prompts your invitation for tea? Lu Lin rose to greet him, saying, Please take a seat. Su Wenjun surveyed the surroundings and chuckled. Is it just the two of us? Lu Lin nodded. There are certain matters I wish to deliberate with you. Once seated, Su Wenjun inquired, What is it that necessitates such seriousness? Lu Lin replied, You are familiar with the Danqing art exhibition, are you not? Su Wenjun contemplated for a moment before responding with an affirmative nod. Ah, I now recall. Chapter 40. This painting is outrageously ugly. The lights illuminated the hall of the Lu family. Upon her return, Lu Mingyu encountered Lu Qiuyang, who was seated in the central position, surprisingly still awake at this late hour. Lu Qiuyang cast a dark glance at her, sneering, You truly possess audacity. Did I grant you permission to revel outside until this hour? Lu Mingyu offered a slight smile and inquired, Uncle, there exists a social platform that is currently the most favored among the youth. Lu Qiuyang retorted coldly, Is your affluent boyfriend someone you encounter online? Lu Mingyu clarified, What I meant to convey is that I am engaging in social media. Lu Qiuyang frowned. Chapter 41. A severed hand. Zhan Xiang and He Song arrived at the scene, where they beheld the painting displayed before Lu Mingyu. He Song erupted into laughter, exclaiming, How grotesque! Zhan Xiang remarked, It possesses a unique kind of ugliness. He Song, filled with curiosity, leaned in closer, saying, Allow me to ascertain the identity of the artist. However, he soon fell silent. Zhan Xiang inquired, Who is it? He Song turned back, his expression peculiar. Zhan Xiang pressed, You have seen it yet refuse to disclose? How small must the font be that you cannot report it? I am too indolent to walk. Chapter 42. Come tomorrow to appreciate the painting today. On this day, Lu Mingyu returned home later than the previous evening. Yet not excessively so. Night had fully descended, and the landscape lights within the community had been extinguished. In the enveloping darkness, a Bentley once again parked discreetly beside the entrance, evading scrutiny. Lu Mingyu refrained from hastily exiting the vehicle. The door remained firmly shut. She turned her head to glance sideways. Indeed, he had approached closer. This time, he did not confine her, but instead bestowed a gentle kiss. Parting slightly after an extended moment, he was so near that she could hear him softly utter, "You may favor either my inner or outer self. Simply choose one and do not overthink." Chapter 43. A phone call. Upon entering the hall, Lu Mingyu found herself witnessing a tense standoff between Su Wenjun and Lu Lin, both adorned with grave expressions, teetering on the brink of conflict. She hesitated, tempted to witness the unfolding drama. Yet, prioritizing her own safety, she resolved to retreat to her chamber. At that moment, Su Wenjun unexpectedly advanced, seizing her wrist. Lu Mingyu furrowed her brow and endeavored to extricate herself. But to no avail. Su Wenjun's voice resonated with urgency. "Mingyu, I have something of utmost importance to discuss with you." Suddenly, with a resounding crash, Lu Lin slammed his hand upon the table, indignantly proclaiming, "Su Wenjun." Chapter 44. Are you engaging in poverty alleviation? Lu Mingyu nodded with an air of composure, inquiring, "The bald eagle?" Duan Xiaoming confirmed, indeed. Lu Mingyu resumed her task of gathering her utensils, responding, "Very well." Duan Xiaoming hesitated momentarily before declaring, "The matter is pressing. I cannot linger any longer." Lu Mingyu continued to nod, inquiring, "Are you departing today?" Duan Xiaoming replied, "I regret to inform you that I must leave at once." Lu Mingyu, maintaining an indifferent tone, remarked, "It is quite all right. I can dine alone." The sound of a chair scraping against the floor resonated. Chapter 45. Brother, you are quite verbose. A day later, in the dilapidated streets of the LA slums, a sedan raced past. Several escort vehicles shadowed closely behind, yet they were soon intercepted. A series of muffled gunshots shattered the rear window of the sedan. The occupants within swiftly ducked, shielding their heads. Suddenly, a piercing whistle pierced the air, an indication of a silent sniper. The driver fervently pressed the accelerator, striving to evade the bullets, yet his efforts proved futile. Boom! Chapter 46. My brother, Duan Xiaoji in the distance. The cacophony of battle subsided, and soon medical personnel hurried in to attend to Duan Liqing's injuries. A cadre of impeccably attired men arrived, securing the area. Further afield, another fully armed unit was conducting a meticulous search of the surroundings. Duan Liqing finally exhaled, his eyes mirroring a profound relief at having survived the harrowing ordeal. The preceding moments had been dangerously exhilarating. Had it not been for Duan Xiaoming courageously enduring the hail of bullets to provide covering fire, he would have met his demise long before any rescue could arrive. Nevertheless, Duan Xiaoming maintained an unflappable demeanor. Chapter 47. Boundless love. On that day, after completing her breakfast, Lu Mingyu observed guests arriving at the Lu residence. Gradually making their way to the reception hall, Lu Lin was attending to them, exhibiting a respectful and even obsequious demeanor. Shortly thereafter, Lu Qiuyang appeared as well, engaging the guests in conversation with an air of elegance. However, Lu Mingyu chose to visit her grandmother in the backyard, only to discover, upon her intention to depart at noon, that the back gate had been secured with a new lock, effectively trapping her and her grandmother inside. She furrowed her brow. What was transpiring within the Lu family? Was there some significant matter they were intentionally concealing from her? Chapter 48. The great green attire. Lu Qian cursed vehemently, tugging at her hair in frustration. Lu Mingyu, you despicable girl, just like your mother, a loathsome creature. How dare you steal another's husband? I'm not Lu Mingyu. At last, she articulated her words, her voice wavering but pronounced with precision. My name is Lu Minji, from Yaodu, Lu Minji. The very utterance of this name incited even greater fury within Lu Qian. In a fit of rage, she lunged forward. A resounding slap echoed through the air. Silence. Lu Qian bellowed, her anger palpable. Chapter 49. Coincidence. Lu Qian was taken to the hospital, where she vehemently resisted treatment, her screams reverberating down the corridor. Ultimately, she was restrained and subjected to treatment, as Lu Lin and Du Wenxin collaborated to bind her to the hospital bed. Nevertheless, Lu Qian's cries persisted, heart-rending and anguished. "That is my husband. Mine." Du Wenxin approached, seeking to offer her solace, but was met with a ferocious bite. Had she not swiftly evaded, her hand would have suffered grave injury. Lu Qian had completely succumbed to madness, driven to the edge of her endurance. In her frenzied struggle, her wounds reopened anew. Chapter 50. Morning burial in the early hours. Lu Mingyu was ushered into the grandest makeup room of the Lu residence, typically reserved for Du Wenxin. In the corner, a long-sleeved formal gown hung elegantly. A cadre of makeup artists and stylists entered, commencing their preparations. Lu Mingyu casually grasped a sharp hairpin from the table, pressing it against her throat. "Bring those wretched curs to me," she declared with chilling detachment. The makeup artists, witnessing such a harrowing scene for the first time, stood paralyzed in terror, unable to utter a single word. Chapter 51. Afternoon engagement. The guards clad in black instinctively reach for their waists, their eyes locking with Zhang Xiang's, igniting an immediate wave of lethal intent. As Zhang Xiang sprinted forward, he swiftly signaled behind him. The impending threat receded, and the dark barrels of their firearms were lowered. Yet, Yin Tianzuo was consumed by terror. Without a moment's hesitation, he mimicked Zhang Xiang's actions. The signal Zhang Xiang had conveyed was one of dire urgency, permitting a direct advance, unperturbed by any significant circumstance. What calamity had unfolded? Meanwhile, in the subterranean office, the dialogue persisted. Chapter 52. The engagement feast of Chuangfei at Shizi City Airport. Zhang Xiang spoke as he walked. "Mingge, the car is ready and waiting outside. Daniu has significantly improved his speed. However, brother, should you not exercise some restraint? You aren't truly contemplating taking a life, are you?" Duan Xiuming pressed his lips together tightly, remaining silent as he strode out of the airport, an aura of chilling intensity radiating from him. Just then his phone vibrated. He swiped the screen and halted abruptly. "Lu Mingyu, is this a rescue attempt?" Chapter 53. An explosive return. Duan Xiuming extended his hand, delicately flicking beneath her microphone. In one fluid motion, the microphone soared into the air. Concurrently, he effortlessly lifted Lu Mingyu onto his shoulder, gauging her weight for a fleeting moment before pivoting to depart. The microphone plummeted to the ground, emitting a series of dull thuds. His velocity was remarkable, reminiscent of a cheetah in full flight. Silence enveloped the scene. Chapter 54. Ultimate utilization. Duan Xiuming navigated the road towards the apartment, his eyes steadfastly fixed ahead, offering not a single glance at the individual seated beside him. Lu Mingyu sensed an imposing aura and dared to steal a glance in his direction. "Do not look," he uttered coldly. She redirected her gaze towards the swiftly vanishing cityscape beyond the window, where she discerned a pivotal realization. He must have possessed knowledge of a certain truth, or rather, he had likely been aware all along. Indeed, with his astute perception, he had merely indulged her, feigning participation in her ruse. Chapter 55. The revelation of dawn. Duan Xiuming lowered his gaze, concealing his emotions. "One final inquiry. Why did you share my bed back then? Was it mere indulgence?" She was not that type of person. Love at first sight was out of the question. She had departed immediately thereafter. So why had she uttered that phrase when they were mere strangers? She had repeated it twice. Lu Mingyu responded, "On my first night, I wish to make my own choice." Duan Xiuming scoffed, "A remarkable choice indeed. You certainly have a talent for selection, choosing someone with the surname Duan." Lu Mingyu regarded him. "You belong to the Duan family." Chapter 56. A swift passage. Du Wenxin's eyes brimmed with astonishment. "Do you possess the mindset of a hunter?" Her declaration was even more astonishing than words of divine revelation. L.M. enveloped in confusion, asked, "What does that signify?" Du Wenxin's eyes shimmered with a fleeting glint, subtle yet ephemeral, concealed within the profound depths of her gaze. She articulated it with remarkable ease, having just uttered the words, yet remained oblivious to their significance. How could this woman be so paradoxical? Had he encountered her earlier and delved into her potential, he could scarcely fathom the extraordinary heights she might have attained by now. Chapter 57. I am her boyfriend. Heaven's arrival, it was not long before they arrived at the airport. El Imingi was scheduled to board the final flight to London that day, carrying nothing but her phone and passport. After obtaining her boarding pass, she turned to find Du Xiaming standing behind her. The dark green vehicle idled at the entrance. He seemed indifferent, his expression vacant as he gazed into the distance, lost in contemplation. El Imingi approached him, and Du Xiaming raised a hand, gesturing towards her. Your phone. Chapter 58. Bring it on. Qin Li charged in, exclaiming, You are courting death. Du Xiaming swiftly retaliated, shattering his already fragile support. Then, with unwavering determination, he tightened his grip, and a series of ominous cracks reverberated through the air. Qin Li crumpled to the ground, soaked in perspiration. Du Xiaming delivered another kick, declaring, Get to the hospital and rest. Crack! A bone in Qin Li's leg fractured unexpectedly. At that moment, the driver and bodyguard, having parked the car, rushed over and launched an immediate assault without uttering a single word. Chapter 59. I long to render you mute. A day later, in London, within the esteemed Royal College of Art. The edifice was partitioned into a multitude of art studios on each floor. In one such studio, El Imingi was meticulously unfurling paper across an expansive wall, poised to commence her painting. While she blended hues, a scornful voice reverberated from the entrance. I have heard from a professional next door that you have created quite a commotion during your holiday at home. Engagement, broken engagement, elopement. Playing both sides, bringing humiliation upon the male counterpart, and offending a distinguished family. You have become the subject of local ridicule. The voice belonged to CHNL, a competitor from the same artistic domain as El Imingi. Chapter 60. Ruling the sea in XZ City at the lakeside apartment. Du Xiaming returned from the boxing gym, his body glistening with perspiration. After a refreshing shower, he emerged to find Xiaming in the living room, holding a painting in his hands. Brother Iming, he inquired, I brought this back. Should I hang it? Du Xiaming frowned as he cast a glance at the artwork, his irritation evident as he waved his hand dismissively. It is utterly grotesque. Dismantle the frame and stow it away. It offends my eyes. Without hesitation, Xiaming acquiesced. Du Xiaming then turned his gaze to the window. The sky was a resplendent blue, and the air was invigorating. Did she ever think of him? Perhaps not. Chapter 61. That was her choice in the tranquil ambience of the Wetland Lounge. The establishment remained closed during daylight hours. Xiaming meticulously brewed 3 cups of tea and gracefully arranged them upon the table. At that moment, XSU, absorbed in her phone, used, I discerned that post on Moments did not originate from El Imingi herself. Although she seldom engages with her alternate account, such a post would be out of character for her. Du Xiaming, tilting his head in curiosity, inquired, alternate account? XSU replied, She had previously shared news of her engagement on her smaller account. It must have been orchestrated by the Liu family. Xiaming cast a sidelong glance and remarked, Minggu, we have erred in our assumptions. Chapter 62. The dismal morning in Yaodu. On that somber day, the two arrived at a cemetery in Yaodu. Zhang Xiang examined the grave number and murmured, Why isn't it a joint burial? Du Xiaming remained silent, clutching flowers and incense as he searched. Soon, they discovered the gravestones of Liu Mingyu's parents. Though not side by side, they lay in close proximity. As they stood before the gravestones, the atmosphere grew heavy with emotion. Zhang Xiang gazed at the names etched upon the stone, momentarily taken aback. After a brief silence, Du Xiaming issued a command, Investigate. Zhang Xiang promptly acquiesced. Chapter 63. Wait. Who is aboard the ocean cruise? Xiong Shengao. Zhang Xiang encountered Yin Tianzue, addressing matters whilst partaking in a meal. Yin Tianzue, visibly agitated, exclaimed, What transpired on that fateful day? Am I not entitled to uncover the truth? I have been tirelessly managing affairs in Xiangjiang. Yet not only has Minggu disregarded my involvement, but you too have neglected my messages. Do you dare to confront me? Zhang Xiang waved his hand dismissively. I have just concluded my tasks. You remain unaware of the turmoil. Ming Ge was on the brink of resorting to violence. Yin Tian's was vexation intensified. What clandestine event was it from which I was excluded? What purpose does my strength serve, then? Chapter 64. Shattering the southern wall of jealousy, the graceful cursive revealed his name. Duan Xiaoming arched an eyebrow, a smile unfurling upon his lips. Thankfully, he had acquired the skill to decipher cursive. Otherwise, he would have remained unaware of her musings about him. What is this? Does she harbor feelings for him? Subsequently, she inscribed Duan Xiaoji, followed by 3 shadows cast together. Duan Xiaoming. Forgive him for failing to grasp the artist's imaginative leaps, yet his spirits remained elevated. Whether it was Duan Xiaoming or Duan Xiaoji, they were both facets of himself. Did she long for him? Chapter 65. 10 boxes of scar cream in the hospital. Within a solitary ward, Lu Mingyu lay in a state of unconsciousness. During the examination, the physician elevated her arm. Duan Xiaoming, standing nearby, felt his pupils constrict in an instant. The doctor, taken aback, gazed in disbelief at her wrist. A horrific, festering wound, already encrusted with scabs, presented an unsettling appearance. Imprisonment? Chains? Get out, Duan Xiaoming uttered in a subdued tone. After the doctor departed the room, he advanced forward, delicately lifting her garments to scrutinize her wrists and ankles. Chapter 66. This bed cannot accommodate 2. Chun La promptly connected the call, inquiring, "Hello, is the individual mentioned by Shuren Kuan the one who kidnapped you, the owner of the White Phantom motorcycle? Are you aware of the exorbitant price of that vehicle? It is not something one can merely acquire with money." Lu Mingyu replied, "I have some knowledge about it." Filled with exuberance, Chun La exclaimed, "Is he the person you mentioned? The one who took you away yesterday?" Lu Mingyu confirmed it was indeed him. Shen la précédent. Are you genuinely involved with 2 individuals simultaneously? Lu Mingyu retorted, "Leave me alone." Chun La added, "You must be entangled with someone of considerable significance." Chapter 67. A visit to the ENT specialist. Du En Xiam nonchalantly reclined on the floor, pulling a blanket over himself with an air of simplicity before surrendering to slumber. In the enveloping darkness, L.M. lay on her side, her gaze fixed in his direction, her emotions a tangled web of confusion. She grappled with the perplexing circumstances surrounding him. How had he come to be in her presence? And what compelled him to stay in her abode? Furthermore, the heir of the Duin family was resting on the floor, a sight both astonishing and surreal. From his position on the ground, his characteristic brusque voice resonated. "What are you staring at?" "Sleep." Chapter 68. "What? Do you wish for me to wash for you?" The winter was excruciatingly frigid. Duan Xiaoming stood resolutely outside the CHNY studio building, enduring the biting wind for 3 hours. Zhn Xiang had dispatched surveillance footage and photographs, which he scrutinized repeatedly until his phone's battery was nearly depleted. He bore witness to the entirety of the harrowing events that unfolded that day. Amidst the crimson turmoil, she had observed the heartbreaking suicide of her grandmother. It was abundantly clear that she had been utterly shattered. Yet, in the aftermath, she did not falter. She turned and fled, exhibiting remarkable composure and emotional fortitude. Chapter 69. She bestowed upon me a beating. Du In Lq was momentarily taken aback, inquiring, "Are you facing challenges in your relationship? What the impending wedding?" Du In Xiaoming replied, "Let us defer it. Her relative has passed away, and she must observe a period of mourning." Du In Lq spoke gently. Life is of utmost importance, and the loss of a cherished one is undeniably devastating. You must cultivate a deeper understanding. After a brief pause, Duan Xiaoming confessed, "However, we had a disagreement and nearly parted ways. Perhaps we already have?" Du Lq was momentarily rendered speechless before suggesting, "Do not inquire. Simply behave as though you have not separated." Duan Xiaoming agreed. "That aligns with my sentiments as well." Yet she appears far too consumed to engage in a discussion about our relationship. Chapter 70. You have deceived me throughout my existence in the days that ensued. Duan Xiaoming found herself sprawled upon the floor of L.M. Ing's abode. She had proposed the idea of a hotel on several occasions. Yet he chose to disregard her suggestions. Her days were consumed by classes, painting, returning home, and partaking in the meals he provided. There existed no opportunity for her to decline. Nevertheless, he exhibited a certain peculiarity, frequently regarding her with a gaze that was both direct and penetrating. That evening, within the modest confines of their dwelling, Ingi was engrossed in her direct messages when she lifted her gaze to discover him observing her with that same fervent expression. Chapter 71. What ails her eyes? At the break of dawn, he escorted her to the private hospital where she had previously undergone intravenous treatment, subjecting her to a series of thorough examinations. While they awaited the results, Ingi was led to the lounge, which was adorned with refreshments and red tea. Arriving with an empty stomach, she finally had the opportunity to nourish herself. Du In Shim Ing entered the doctor's office, closing the door with deliberation. What ails her eyes? He inquired candidly. The doctor responded with measured words. She suffers from night blindness and damage to her optic nerve. Chapter 72. He harbors a fear of insects before long. 2 plates of food were artfully arranged upon the table. Ingi took a bite and commented, "You ought to refrain from culinary endeavors in the future." Du In Shim Ing nodded in agreement, yet his countenance remained stoic as he consumed his meal, as if partaking solely to sustain his very existence. That evening, as she opened her book to engage in study, he approached and abruptly shut it. Ingi, taken aback, inquired. Du In Shim Ing gestured towards the overhead light, remarking, "This illumination is hardly conducive to reading. Do you wish to jeopardize your eyesight?" Chapter 73. Who instructed you in the art of indifference in the afternoon? Following their repast, Du In Shim Ing reclined on the sofa, absorbed in his mobile device. Ingi stood, intending to restore order. A hand reached out, drawing her back onto the sofa. The owner of the arm continued to browse his device, nonchalantly commenting, "It is inappropriate." Shortly thereafter, a knock resonated, and another individual entered, wheeling a cart to clear the table and dispose of refuse. Ingi fell into silence before eventually asking, "Housekeeping? What else did you anticipate?" Du In Shim Ing replied. Chapter 74. Allow me to be your pillar. Du In Shim Ing fixed his gaze upon her for a brief moment before chuckling. In truth, you have adopted the mentality of a hunter more than once in Zizishang. Ingi responded with perplexity. Huh? You may not have perceived it, but the L family, the Qin family, and indeed myself, are naught but your pawns, or rather, your quarry. The hunting ground spans the entirety of Zizishang. You effortlessly shift roles, orchestrating chaos while retreating unscathed, executing meticulous hunts to fulfill your ambitions. Just as you articulated, must the protagonist be akin to a mere vessel? Transgress the confines and transform into the Leviathan. Chapter 75. The Puppet Master Rebirth. Du In Shim Ing inquired, "Am I evading something?" Upon concluding his statement, he intended to step outside. However, a delicate alabaster hand reached forth, clasping his wrist. Her fingers were cool to the touch, exerting a gentle pressure that ignited a tingling sensation within him. Ingi uttered softly, "Stay and converse with me." Du In Shim Ing cast a glance at his wrist before following her into the art studio, asking, "Will this not be a disturbance to you?" Ingi shook her head, expressing her desire to engage in conversation while working on this piece. She had already commenced the process of color mixing. Chapter 76. What did she reveal? Upon completing her painting, she gently set down her brush. Beside her, Du In Shim Ing remained with his hand raised, alternating his gaze between the artwork and her. The scene was utterly mesmerizing, both in its content and the act of creation. Ingi beheld her masterpiece, a reflection of her own life. Abruptly, Du In Shim Ing returned to the present, inquiring, "Can your hands also serve as your artistic instruments?" Ingi responded with poise to transcend the boundaries. "You stated earlier that anything in this world can serve as a medium for painting. Why impose constraints?" Chapter 77. Your future daughter-in-law. Du In Shim Ing gently reminded, "Do not neglect your medication. It is essential." Ingi responded with a sudden smile. "I shall not forget." His theatrical approach to medication had left an indelible mark on her memory. Duan Xiam persisted. I will ensure that nutritious meals are delivered to the school. Nourish yourself well, abstain from smoking and drinking, adhere to a regular sleep schedule, and safeguard your vision. Do you comprehend? Ella Mingyi replied, I understand. Duan Xiam observed her closely and inquired, As for the car, I shall drive you to the airport. Once your vision improves, you may take the driving test. L.M. responded with a soft Duan Xiam regarded her thoughtfully, asking, Do you? Chapter 78. The invitation, the discourse among the four persisted throughout the afternoon. The Guoqiao project was merely one facet of the Du-In family's extensive venture into the domestic market. Following the conclusion of their confidential discussion, Duan Liqing and Duan Xiaming were the first to depart the conference room, while Duan Zhongxin and Duan Bifu continued to attend to other matters. On the outdoor terrace, Duan Liqing inquired with a smile, You have never exhibited interest in the family's overt business endeavors. Today, you have specifically mentioned this project. Could it be for your girlfriend? Duan Xiaoming remarked, with a slight encouragement, Her talent is truly exceptional. Duan Liqing pondered for a moment and asserted, Expanding into the mainland market is of utmost significance. Chapter 79. The Ultimate Prodigal. Duan Xiao Ji amidst profound astonishment. The four individuals beheld the tall man pause in his stride. This unexpected halt prompted the throng of supporters surrounding him to also come to a standstill. Although the bodyguards obstructed the financial journalist from advancing too closely, they seized the opportunity to bombard him with an array of inquiries. Second young Master Duan, having spent these years in the White Eagle, what accounts for your sudden return to the homeland? Is your high-profile reappearance a calculated maneuver to vie with the heirs? Do you intend to engage with the Bright Vein or the Dark Vein in the future? Was the invitation to board the cruise extended by that young master of the Dark Vein? Chapter 80. Oh, are we indulging in libations? Xu Rincoen felt a pang of wounded pride, his countenance darkening as he observed. It appears Lu Mingyu does not recognize me. However, one must admit, a beauty of such exquisite artistry is indeed distant. Lu Mingyu arched an eyebrow, remaining reticent. Abruptly, Xu Rincoen rose, elevating his glass. It seems we are beset by a misunderstanding. As today is a rare occasion, let us dispel the confusion. Lu Mingyu raised her gaze, locking eyes with him. What misunderstanding? Please enlighten me. Xu Rincoen's demeanor shifted. You are certainly one to forget with ease. He had distinctly extended an olive branch to alleviate the tension, yet she chose not to reciprocate. Chapter 81. Congratulations on turning 23. The White Phantom arrived at another restaurant, perched atop a building. This was Lu Mingyu's inaugural visit, and she was oblivious to the existence of such an establishment, which appeared to offer bespoke culinary creations. Entry was not merely by reservation, but rather by invitation. Lu Mingyu instantly lamented her previous indulgence at the Chinese restaurant. Duan Xiaoming led the way, his pace measured and unhurried. The restaurant's lighting was somewhat subdued, fostering a delightful ambience, though it was less than accommodating for those with night blindness. Lu Mingyu paused, hesitating to advance further. A hand reached out beside her, gently urging her onward. Chapter 82. Who am I to you? Several hours passed in the blink of an eye. When Lu Mingyu next opened her eyes, dawn had arrived, casting a delicate glow across the sky. With her head tilted to one side, she felt a fleeting disorientation. Had they reached their destination? Indeed, a brief slumber had transported her to this moment. Before her, the morning light ascended gradually, adorning the horizon with a soft shade of crimson. Through the windshield, she caught sight of Duan Xiaoming outside. He stood in the early streets of Paris, his black coat billowing gently in the breeze, his hair tousled by the wind. Was it not chilly? Chapter 83. You speak, and it's a depth charge, is it? The figure upon the sofa lay in repose, eyes closed, his breathing measured and serene. He had even succeeded in obtaining a pillow, reclining flat beneath a delicate blanket. Was he ensconced in a profound slumber? Though his eyes remained closed, the sharply defined contours of his face imparted an air of gravitas. Lu Mingyu softened her footfalls as she drew nearer. Leaning in, she extended a finger, and just before their imminent contact, he abruptly opened his eyes, revealing a pair of profound gazes fixed upon her. Lu Mingyu was nearly frightened to the point of collapse, her form trembling. Chapter 84, Shadow and Light, a Ming morning. After delivering a nourishing breakfast to someone, Duan Xiaoming returned to his apartment. Upon opening the door, he was welcomed by sunlight streaming through the expansive windows, casting a warm glow upon the adjacent white wall. A large shadow loomed over it. He paused, momentarily taken aback. Unbeknownst to him, a transparent acrylic panel had been affixed to the glass of the floor-to-ceiling window, adorned with clusters of scratches. As the sunlight illuminated it, the angle perfectly projected these scratches as shadows, revealing an intricate silhouette portrait upon the white wall. It was his. Chapter 85. My brother has departed a week following Duan Xiaoming's departure. Lu Mingyu was diligently organizing her assignments in the studio at school when her phone rang. It was a call. Upon answering, a familiar voice resonated in her ear. "Ah, my wife." He called, his voice rich and magnetic. Lu Mingyu smiled faintly and inquired, "What is it that you desire?" Duan Xiaoming replied, "The contract has arrived. Since I am not present, may I send someone else to obtain your signature?" Lu Mingyu responded, "That is acceptable." Duan Xiaoming continued, "My brother has departed." Lu Mingyu. Chapter 86. The eyes are glowing after their business discussion. Duan Liqing glanced back at the car. He seemed to clarify, "Your sister-in-law has yet to acclimate to the time difference and has fallen asleep in the vehicle. I couldn't bring myself to awaken her. I shall introduce you next time." Lu Mingyu responded, "Ah, very well." Are they already referring to each other as brother and sister-in-law? Duan Liqing elaborated, "Your sister-in-law harbored considerable ambitions in her youth, which have left her with some lingering ailments. She places significant importance on health. So I hope this does not trouble you." Lu Mingyu shook her head. It does not. She cast a glance towards the car, catching a glimpse of. Chapter 87. You have returned? Lu Mingyu informed Xiao An of his departure, entrusting her with the remaining organizational responsibilities, confident in her adept capabilities. As she exited the building, she instinctively turned to the right. For the past few days, her assistant had been picking her up, with the vehicle consistently parked in that direction, a spacious and opulent white van. The Duan family had a penchant for white, likely mirroring Duan Xiaoming's preferences. However, after taking just a few steps, she came to an abrupt stop. "Where's the car?" How strange. The assistant had never been tardy, typically arriving well ahead of schedule. Chapter 88. Fianche? Early on a tranquil weekend morning, Duan Xiaoming stirred Lu Mingyu from her slumber once more. Yet this time, he transformed her customary morning exercise routine by introducing a novel physical training regimen. For the first time, Lu Mingyu encountered the profound sensation of utter exhaustion. Even after the session concluded, her heart continued to race for 2 hours, refusing to settle. Duan Xiaoming observed her intently, extracting various professional instruments to meticulously record her heart rate, blood oxygen levels, and respiratory frequency, subsequently refining the training regimen. Lu Mingyu reclined on the sofa, passively permitting him to measure her, remaining utterly still. Duan Xiaoming, tomorrow. Chapter 89. Then you shall die and go to the underworld to propose. Qin Lian chuckled, confidently proclaiming, "Is that not so? I have already made my proposal." Lu Mingyu. To whom did you extend your proposal? Qin Lian. Naturally, it is to the Lu family. You have already accepted the bride price from the Lu family. Lu Mingyu, you cannot refute this. Integrity is paramount in life. Xu Rincoin concurred. Given your engagement, one should exercise greater restraint. Yet, she continues to flirt and cohabitate with an individual from school? Are the relatives of her swiftly moving boyfriend cognizant of these affairs? At the mere contemplation of it, Xu Rincoin could not suppress a smirk. Chapter 90. Repeat that, what? The individuals in the corridor parted ways in unison, none daring to impede her progress, instead providing her with an unobstructed path. This woman had just incited a commotion at the Chuani building. Who would possess the audacity to intervene? Xu Rincoin's thoughts spiraled into disarray. Without a moment's hesitation, he bolted outside. He truly had a penchant for careless speech. Each time he uttered thoughtless words, he seemed to neglect the repercussions. He sprinted away, not daring to glance back, as if escaping for his very life from the building. Lu Mingyu pursued him for a few paces, knife brandished, only pausing at the entrance. Shu Rinkuan stumbled onward. Chapter 91. Silver Frost on a moonlit night. Lu Mingyu gently urged, "Very well, set me down. I am in need of a drink." Duan Xiuming complied, placing her on the ground, and then inquired, "Did you cleanse yourself and change attire due to the presence of blood, or were you simply unkempt?" Lu Mingyu responded, "What other reason could there be?" Duan Xiuming nodded in comprehension. As Lu Mingyu raised her cup, she cast a furtive glance in his direction. He firmly asserted, "You are not to utter those 3 words to anyone else." At that moment, genuine irritation flickered across his features. Lu Mingyu acknowledged, understood. It was merely an unfortunate slip of the tongue on her part. Chapter 92. 3. 2. When do you find it to your liking? He inquired. Lu Mingyu nodded. "I cherish it so profoundly that words elude me." She grappled with the challenge of expressing her emotions, her ability to articulate rendered inadequate, leaving her heart to race fervently within her chest. Duan Xiuming inclined his head with a smile. "Then, how about a kiss?" Lu Mingyu turned, rising on her tiptoes to bestow a gentle kiss upon the corner of his mouth. In truth, their kisses were a rarity. Duan Xiuming purposefully maintained a certain distance. Aside from their playful morning ritual of playfully tapping his rear to rouse him, he seldom made physical contact, confining himself to merely holding her hand. Following the kiss, Lu Mingyu's eyes shimmered with joy. Chapter 93. Call me husband. Duan Xiuming's composure had shattered. He had perpetually acted without inhibition, yet for Lu Mingyu, he had restrained himself for far too long. Having spent every day together for 4 months, sharing the same chamber, he was deeply attuned to her well-being. He pondered whether she should attend classes the following day and contemplated her limitations. This succession of concerns left him feeling ensnared, as if imprisoned within a cage. In that fleeting moment, he was devoid of reason, propelled solely by primal instinct. Whether the woman beneath him was Lu Mingyu or Lu Minji was of no significance. She was, after all, his wife. Chapter 94. Joint burial in this residence. Lu Mingyu was taken aback to discover an art studio meticulously arranged for her. All the materials and tools she had grown accustomed to were present. Initially, she had worried that her journey to Xiangang would impede the progress of Shanhai Guichao. Yet now it seemed her apprehensions were insignificant to him. This left her utterly speechless. During dinner, Duan Xiuming began to delineate plans. "Tomorrow, my parents, along with my brother and sister-in-law, will come over for a formal introduction." "Wait," Lu Mingyu exclaimed in surprise. "Is it not me?" Chapter 95. Lu Mingyu. "Marry me." Duan Xiuming, she gazed intently, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. This compelled Duan Xiuming to glance back at her. He found her expression rather amusing. It resembled that of a bewildered child, infused with awe. Unable to contain himself, he playfully pinched her cheek. Lu Mingyu quickly regained her composure and swatted his hand away, her demeanor shifting to one of seriousness. Duan Xiuming chuckled, so fierce and stubborn, refusing to tolerate a mere cheek pinch? Lu Mingyu retorted, absolutely not. The more she resisted, the more fascinated Duan Xiuming became. Chapter 96. Human Anatomy Dimensions. Lu Mingyu spent 3 days aboard the cruise ship, subsequently guided by Duan Xiuming to explore the enchanting Xiangshan Bay. It was during this journey that she uncovered a remarkable truth. In addition to being the heir to the Duan family's secretive legacy, he also presided over a myriad of other enterprises. Most notably, he was the proprietor of several cruise ships. This revelation was nothing short of astonishing. Upon their return to Hong Kong, Lu Mingyu inquired, "How did you accomplish this?" Duan Xiuming replied, "Are you inquiring about time or capability?" Lu Mingyu responded, "Time. Do you possess a doppelganger?" The heir to the clandestine lineage could scarcely afford such leisure, the Duan family. Chapter 97. News. Duan Xiuming approached, saying, "My dear wife, this matter transcends mere dimensions. It pertains to your husband as privacy, a secret meant solely for your eyes." Lu Mingyu disregarded his words, shifting her pen to illustrate a droplet of water at a pivotal point. Duan Xiuming found himself at a loss for words, utterly astounded by her unwavering dedication. What was even more striking was her determination, as she continued to enhance her drawing with meticulous precision. Duan Xiuming remained by her side, patiently waiting for an entire hour. At long last, she completed her masterpiece and set down her pen. Chapter 98. A colossal palm their repast extended for quite some time, as they engaged in profound discussions that nearly led to an all-nighter filled with libations. By the time they concluded their meal, the restaurant was on the brink of closing. Chun-La hastily slung her bag over her shoulder, declaring her desire to partake in the forthcoming gathering for drinks. Lu Mingyu bid her farewell with a wave, leisurely proceeding to settle the bill. However, upon arriving at the front desk, she unexpectedly encountered Duan Xiaoming. Lu Mingyu mused, having forgotten to notify him to come and collect her, the thought just now resurfacing in her mind. Duan Xiaoming stood there, observing her with an inscrutable expression, having already taken care of her meal expenses. Chapter 99. I am here. Do not fear. The health report had been in Duan Xiaoming's possession, which he scrutinized meticulously during their journey back to the apartment, continuing to examine it while seated upon the sofa. Lu Mingyu remained oblivious to the contents of his scrutiny. He perused the pages repeatedly, contrasting various data points, occasionally furrowing his brow in apparent dissatisfaction. Lu Mingyu inquired, "What troubles you?" Duan Xiaoming shook his head, setting the document aside as he approached her. Before she could respond, he had enveloped her in his embrace. He genuinely relished employing his physical advantage to confine her, restricting her freedom of movement. Chapter 100. Do you remember I am your husband? Lu Mingyu could not discern the moment she began her artistic endeavor, nor did she monitor the passage of time. All she perceived was the transition of the world from daylight to twilight and eventually to the gentle embrace of dawn. Ultimately, she found herself utterly fatigued, halting only when her hand could no longer create. As she descended the ladder, her muscles trembled from the exertion. After a brief respite, she cast her gaze towards a remote corner of the room. There reclined Duan Xiaoming, peacefully slumbering in his chair, eyes gently closed, his head slightly inclined backward, resting against the wall. In the previous semester, he had endured the discomfort of sleeping on the floor. Yet now, as she immersed herself in her art, he simply surrendered to slumber against the wall. Chapter 101. A wife must be self-sustaining following yet another follow-up appointment. Lu Mingyu's eyes were deemed free from the need for medication, requiring only a moderate application of eye drops and a reduction in undue strain. However, the latter proved to be quite a formidable challenge. She often immersed herself in her art for 10 hours at a time, compounded by the significant demands of her classes, studies, and work. In response, Duan Xiaoming found himself at a loss for words, resorting instead to incessantly interrupting her impassioned painting sessions, urging her to take a respite. Are you willing to sacrifice your eyesight? This was yet another admonition he had delivered countless times. Lu Mingyu pointed to the map she was diligently working on. I'm almost finished.